proportion. This is tantamount to extortion. You in a room well above your portion. Yes, sir. Must have been the bubble, let's cause a distortion. But with that out of the way, let's keep it a buck. Yes, you in a room with some monsters and fresh out of luck. It's bubblegum and knuckle sandwiches, guessing we out of what? Yes, exactly, these fists are on full at any position. Put the hammer to your head, cause these arms ain't for wishing. Hands up.
Hey guys, welcome to the lab. We are back with some more exclusive content. Ric Clifton has joined us for this episode of Sundaze with the Clink Room. Ric, how you doing?
Good, how about you?
Good. Finally got you in the lab to spend some time with us and kind of learn a little bit more of your history. Really excited to do so. You're relatively new in the Clink space, not new in the design space. So I'm really excited to kind of get to know you on a personal level and kind of know a little bit more about your journey.
Yeah. I think I don't know how long to do a Clink for. Only for like maybe 6 months at the most.
Okay.
I started submitting, but I started submitting parody stuff, and I was like, oh, they don't do parody. Well, the first 2 months, I think, were a waste of time. Someone finally told me, they're like, hey, don't submit this stuff; they're not going to take it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
How did you discover the Clink Room?
So I started following them when they were Plan B.
Oh, way back then.
Yeah. So I heard about, these two guys who submitted a bunch of packets to MLB teams,
Mm-hmm.
and it got rejected from like all but one or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever the story is. And then they finally kind of grew it from there. And I was like, oh shit. I'm like, this is cool stuff. And so then they became grandiose, and I was like, I'm assuming because Plan B is not the greatest name. And then like Brad Pitt's production company was Plan B, and then anyway, so they changed it, and then eventually one day I came across like this Clink, and I imagine it was the old one because I never really followed it.
Yeah,
because then it went away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah,
and then
it went dormant for probably about 6-7 years,
and then I saw it again, and then I was just like, man, this shit's cool. But I was like, I don't think I could submit. I'm not like, I don't think I was any good. So, and then I retired recently during the pandemic, and I've just kind of been working a lot of sports teams and just all freelance stuff, clients and stuff like that. So it was like, I just one day was just like bored. I'm like, fuck it. I'm just gonna submit. I got a bunch of like old concepts, like maybe I can rework and submit and just try it. And
right.
And so that's when I started submitting, was then. But I've known about them since they were Plan B, and I was like, shit, man, like this is what sports branding should be. And then my background is really in sports, so it's like I loved it. But yeah, so that's kind of how I got involved. That's my Clink story. So
right. So you yourself, probably about 15-20 years close to it, experience.
Yeah.
Like custom design, manufacturing.
Yeah, so man, my story it really has to start from like when I was a kid. I grew up drawing. I figured I learned I could draw when I was like 4. I would get grounded a lot. And so I would sit in my room and draw like my Ninja Turtle bed sheets and shit. And like,
right.
But I grew up technically above a screen print shop. My parents owned a screen print company.
Okay.
And they were doing it out of our garage. And so my babysitter was like the artist. And he back then I hand drew everything. And so I he's like from Hawaii or something. He was a surfer. He was working at some radio station. And he was an artist, and he would come in and just do the drawings, the layered drawings and stuff. And whenever my parents needed to leave, he would watch us. And so I was like kind of knew about it. And I knew the process, and like, but it wasn't until later in life. Like I played sports. I was a 3-sport athlete. And then I got injured, and it all went away in high school. So my senior year, I was like, fuck, I don't know what I'm going to do. I was going to go to school, play sports.
Yeah.
And then so I applied to art schools, and my parents were like, you're not going to art school. They're like, you're not going to pay. I got accepted to like the Art Institute, MIAD, MICA, like all the top like 10 schools basically I kind of applied to. And they're like, we're not paying 35-40 grand a year for you to make fucking art. All right. You can't make a living doing art. my parents are very old school, so I was like, fuck, okay. So I enrolled in community college. My mom's like, if you're not going to school, you're not living at home. So like, fuck. So I'm like, all right, I'll apply to community college and just dick around. And I was delivering pizzas. I was like, 17, just turning 18, and delivering pizzas. And I got a tattoo apprenticeship. And so I started tattooing when I was about 18.
Right.
And the guy who taught me, after like 2 lessons, he's like, fuck you. He's like, you already have it figured out. He's like, just take clients. So I started tattooing a little bit, but it didn't last long because I was so unhappy working a pizza job.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking shitty boss. And it was like, long hours and I'm like, I can't work for someone. I hate this. Like, and so I quit, and we had an old embroidery machine in our house in the garage. And I went to my dad and I go, like, we didn't have the best relationship at this time because he told me I couldn't go to art school. So I was like, fuck it. I'm like, I'm gonna swallow my pride. I'm gonna go to him. I'm like, hey, look, I'm artistic. We have this embroidery machine. He's a sales guy. He's big into sales. And he had a whole clientele that uses embroidery. He was selling uniforms, like police and fire uniforms.
Right.
So they need, embroidery. So I go, look, you go sell it to them. I'll learn the embroidery stuff and figure all that out. And we started a company. And so I was about turning 19 at that point. I wasn't a designer yet. I was still just all fine arts. I was a painter and all drawing and stuff like that. I was always like, I'm never going to touch a computer to make art. I'm like, it's against my, like, whatever. It was such a stupid fucking thing to say, but that's how I felt. So, and I still didn't get into it for a while because, like, you can run an embroidery shop, and that's all we did was embroidery, and you don't need design software necessarily. It's a different type of software. So
and
almost
archaic.
Yeah, you use JPEGs as your guide, and it's like, so it didn't matter that I wasn't producing vector-based art. And we started getting a screen print. We were jobbing it out to a local shop down the street. But it wasn't until like the recession hit, kind of like 2008, where we were just taking in business from other companies and just doing what's called contract work. And it got to a point where it was like police and fire departments were actually cutting budgets and firing people, which is unheard of to do at a government job, especially first responders, because that's when you kind of need them most, when the world's a little chaotic. So we're like, shit, like, this is not good. Like, if we want to survive this, we got to do something different. And I got an opportunity from someone I knew at a local high school. Was like, hey, our basketball team just won their division for the first time in like 30 years. And the school is refusing to do a pep rally for them to celebrate this. And so they decided we're going to do what's called an underground pep rally and just throw one on our own. And this was like teachers coming together doing it. And they're like, hey, they need a cool design. Like, can you come up with something? I was like, fuck, okay. I'm like, I don't design, but I'll try. I got Corel Draw and like figured something out. And they were like amazed at what I came up with. And I was like, okay. We need like 100 shirts tomorrow. I'm like, okay. Well, we were screen printing at this point in-house. Now we like had just gotten into it.
Yeah.
And everything we were doing was just provided to us. So I wasn't really into art yet. So I realized high schools are pretty much like recession proof because every year you have a new slot of kids coming in who want stuff. And every year is different of needs and wants. And so I was like, okay, this is a new sector we can go into and a new business we can tap into. And so I got the programs. I started to learn, watch, YouTube videos and shit, and just learn AI and, obviously sketch a lot of stuff out, and that helped. But I mean, back then it would take me like 2 days to do a design versus like I could do 15 minutes now. It's like crazy. But yeah, so I got into the school business and that blew up like quick because on top of that, my sister was a teacher for a high school and she was also a head coach. So right away I learned real quick, like, as a varsity coach at a high school, they already have to do their
much.
regular commitment of work,
Yeah.
which is like full day of work. Then normally they go home and have to grade papers and shit and all that. It's like, holy, like she was up till like 8 o'clock anyways, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock doing work. But on top of that, she became a varsity coach. And so she wasn't getting home till 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock now, and was then grading papers and all. And then on top of that, the kids want gear. And so she's collecting checks, order forms, money. And I'm like, all right, what if we put something online where like all the kids just go order and we collect the orders there, we take payments there. And so this is where I started learning like e-commerce and jumping into that. And now back then e-commerce was like still very broad. It was still maybe big box stores were getting into it, and that's about it. But like individual stores was not a thing for a high school for sure. So that blew us up real quick because everyone was like, oh my God, I don't have to do all this work. Like we took all their issues and we took it and put it onto our plate, and we were able to charge more for that because of it. So our profit margins were much better. And we just manufacture everything, individually bag it, label it, ship it to the school, and then they just pass it out. Where back in the day, they were taking order forms, checks, whatever. You would just get a box of stuff in, and then you would have to sort it and pass it out to kids.
Yeah, it's more work.
It became our business model real quick. And we started a new company that was branded towards schools and sports. And that's where our focus was from then. And then a few years after that, I kept saying, I was like, we need to package this for government agencies because we were still taking all this work in from these other companies to just do contract work. And so their business model in the fire and police industry, it's you as a fireman or policeman, you go to on your day off, you go to a store and you have to, it's a retail store. So you're combating retail people just to get in and get sized and make sure you have everything you need spec wise, but you leave with nothing because it's all custom.
Yeah.
So they then have to send everything out to a shop. It would take anywhere from like a month to a month and a half to get back. And this guy, meanwhile, has just been promoted, or he's a new hire and needs his stuff. And it was a joke. So I took the platform I was building and learning to build, and I was learning HTML and everything at this point, and learning how to just build websites, and again, all through YouTube pretty much. And I just said, I just tightened up the model to where it was more secure and individualized. And we launched that to fire departments eventually. One of them let us test it, and it led to, from the first year to the second year, we had one department to 300 departments.
Holy shit.
And yeah, it was insane. So we were now in like 20,000 square foot facility. We had sewers, we had, embroidery, screen prints, heat transfers, we were doing our own emblems. But I was, that stuff's not creatively challenging. Like there's no artwork really to it. It's not fun. Like it's all just the same shit, and they get what they get.
Taking their stuff.
Yeah.
You can't really touch it.
Yeah. And by at this point now, we have companies like Lids coming at us for the school business. I'm like, I can't compete with somebody who has millions of dollars behind them to go to schools. Under Armour's going after high schools to get contracts to do all their stuff. Yeah. Like, how do I compete with Under Armour on that?
Yeah.
And they're promising all these things. Now, granted, they fell on their ass with it, and it was a total flop for them. But that's what I was competing against with schools, and I was like, it's like, what do I'm at this point where we're working with about 500 schools probably around the country, and mainly high schools, and it was like, it was good, but it's like we can't compete with someone who's got millions, and so the fire department stuff really took off and took a lot of our resources, and so it was good, but it was boring, and then then COVID hit. And the schools went away. That was real quick because no one knew what was going on.
The world stopped, basically.
Yeah. So now, luckily, we shifted and we started manufacturing masks, like most people did, and that really saved us for the first 6 months.
Yeah.
Where we were only at a negative 2% down for the year. It was pretty miraculous. We never cut anyone's hours. We never. it was pretty crazy how we got through it. And we were deemed essential because we were outfitting essential employees. So we kind of had that. That's how we could stay open. But yeah, the mask took off and really kind of saved us. And then it really boosted the business. Actually, we were up from year over last because schools came back and they needed masks and they didn't want just, they wanted cool masks. It was a thing that it took off. So, but I was just, at that point, it was the first time in my life, in the life of business, where I was like kind of useless because my skill set was really geared towards creativity and no one was wanting anything other than the standard.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is boring to me now. I don't like this anymore. And I, left. I just retired and family was not too happy with that, but I thought I could do bigger, better things on my own. And so at this point, too, I just also opened up the door for me to work with teams like the 49ers and the Bears and so on, custom masks. I ended up doing all their like in-house masks that they were doing. Nothing that they were selling to the public, but they were like, we hate this shit that the NFL is giving us.
Yeah.
And I had someone contact me and they were like, hey, Kyle Shanahan hates his masks. This is what he likes. Can you come up with something? I was like, sure, whatever. And then every week we were now doing new masks like geared towards them.
That's awesome.
To the point where it was like they were doing a Super Bowl celebration night from the previous Super Bowl team. And I was doing a mask with like a collage of the Super Bowl team. And it was pretty cool. So, but that's kind of, where I am now. I'm doing a lot of NIL stuff, a lot of individual athlete stuff.
Right.
Like this year I did some stuff with the Falcons, the Jets, the 49ers, I don't know who else. It's been pretty wild lately, but a lot of NIL stuff, a lot of just freelance branding. I do branding and stuff too, and so I've always kind of been like I don't have a set style or anything. I just I've always really listened to the client and like, what do they want? It's not about what I want, So, but I also believe concept speaks to outcome. And like, if I'm trying to tell a story, like sometimes it needs to be simplified and I need to do that a certain way. So like, if that's what I have to do, that's what I do. That's how I approach it. So really I let the concept guide the end result.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like if I'm doing something kitschy and fun, like it needs to be a little more detailed and illustrative because it's telling a story. Or if I'm doing something more like deep and symbolic, it needs to be simplified because you need to focus in on those aspects and be like, okay, this is like, oh, this is what it means. Like that's where I really hit it with Fan for Life. Was like I approached it and it was just a conversation I was having with someone because I'm a Bears fan, so it's like all I know is defeats. It's fucking sucks. It's like, and I'm big in with like our ESPN local station. I'm involved with them just a lot, and like the group of people, the listeners, and in the chat that they have and stuff. And it's like everyone's always talking about is like, man, like my whole life we've never had a quarterback that's been good. My whole life our offense has sucked and blah blah blah. And it's like I'm like, yeah, but we're fans. We're fans for life, right?
Yeah.
So fans till we die is kind of the original concept. And I was just like, what if it's just a foam finger with a skeleton handprint inside of the rubber? So, sure, it took 15 minutes to do, but like that doesn't make it any less impressive, or it doesn't change like what it takes to get a design done. So that's kind of. Anyways, that's my background melding into that. But
no, that's badass.
But so I went from basically everything from running the embroidery machines, screen print presses, setting up the artwork, washing it out, exposing it, fixing the embroidery machine. I did a lot of fixing presses. I mean, I've done everything. So I've sewed my fingers, done that. But then I've done sales, and it's like I didn't want to do it, but I had to. So that whole the apparel industry and the the merch industry is not new to me. It's it's been around my entire life. So
Right.
And then I got one of my good friends. Well, actually, I totally glossed over this. In my early 20s, I started doing a lot of drawing for clothing lines and different brands. I actually started a clothing line with a guy who was like 4 years older than me, but we went to the same high school together. And but he now owns the largest merch company for music tour business. And it's based out of Chicago, and they have another 150,000 square feet in Florida. But so lately, I've been doing a lot of stuff for them too. I've been doing a lot of music stuff. So like I just did some Stevie Nicks designs, and yeah, so it's been pretty cool. But yeah, so he's got. If you want to see a crazy ass factory, man, these guys, it's crazy, dude. They're doing like 16 color prints every day. It's crazy, and they get thousands of shirts turned around in 24 hours. It's nuts. So, but yeah, so I'm very in touch with that whole industry, and yeah, embroidery's obviously embroidery was really my first love because it was like everyone thinks it's like some little sewing machine. It's like like you're
Not.
grabbing.
Yeah, it's not.
And when I show them, I'm like, no, dude, this thing will take your finger off in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And I started doing it before they invented the laser system that would stop the machine if you reached in.
Yeah.
Now that's everyone has those, but I was around doing it before that, and and so you fucked up some fingers and you got in trouble, and if you didn't pay attention. But I'm like, no, these things are running. Sometimes it depends what you're running, but anywhere from typically 600 to 1,000 stitches a minute.
Yeah.
And it just, even to this day, if I watch a machine, it's like it just still amazes me to watch them, like how they do it. It's all XY points, all XY axis points, moving left, right, up, and down. But you're like, when you watch it, you're just like, how is it? It's just like drawing out this design.
Yeah.
It's a blink of an eye. You can't even see it. So it's like
that sound gets
the hum
into your brain, like kind of
I
coordinating, and then just
Yeah.
and then hitting the cloth. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, nothing. Honestly, nothing. As someone who listened to that sound for like 7 days a week, anywhere from like 12 to 14, 16 hours a day, like that is like white noise to me. And it's it's so soothing, and it really is. I mean, it's loud, but it's soothing. So yeah, I know that sound all too well.
That's awesome. Yeah, not many people come on and can talk embroidery with me, so that's awesome. Like that we can nerd out about that stuff, and really kind of understand it. Like
and I mean, when I design, it's like I love people who. I'm not trying to hate on anyone or anything, but like, I love when they comment, "God, it's too busy." Like, no, it's not. I know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know it works. It works because I can digitize it myself.
Yeah.
Like, so I always find it fun. But I'm not gonna hold it against people. They don't know my background. So, but and it's such a rare thing to find people that digitize anymore. It's not. It's overseas. Obviously, there's a lot of people. It's all manufactured. But in America, we're not a manufacturing country anymore. So it's like you don't. It's hard to find sewers. It's super hard to find sewers, and then even digitizers. It's like it's all jobbed out. You don't. If you have someone in house, you're doing a lot of business then. But even the biggest guys, they don't even bother with it. So, because there's a lot of times where you don't even need to digitize anything. You have all the basic software that you can use to do it, or you're just repeating business anyway. So once it's set up, that's it. We can tweak it and edit it a little bit here and there. So yeah, so it's but yeah, I love embroidery. It's like just all the different types of stitches and the effects you can do and the texture you can give.
Yeah.
I mean, I was always playing around with like how can I mix mediums too, and like it's fun. But yeah, I love when people are like, oh, I thought it was just like a sewing machine, like my grandma had.
Yeah, right.
No. It's a thousands of pounds machine, and it's like it will take your finger off. So yeah. So
I remember the New Era had the Derby office, and I think they were running 96 head machine or something, like 96 heads at a time. It's crazy.
They had a 96 head machine, or they just had 96 heads.
96. The demo video that the lady was showing, they were doing a tour, and maybe I'm misremembering, but I remember her saying like they could do 96 at a time.
Huh.
So she would just hit it once, and they would all sync up, and just all like.
Yeah, well, you know what's cool now that too? They actually have they have machines that you can run as groups or
Yeah.
individually. So they have that now. It's been a big thing. So it could have been one of those setups. But
Yeah.
yeah, 96 heads. I'm trying to think. I always thought it was like ended in the 30s or 40s. I
Either
don't
way,
we
it's
were mainly I mainly ran groups of like 6. We need because like what we were doing, we needed versatility.
hmm
So we needed like we went with groups of 6s. We had a couple of doubles, and then we started getting into a lot of single heads because all the fire department stuff was you needed the individual name embroidery. So to use a
Right.
6-head machine to run one name or like one name at a time or whatever,
Make no sense.
it's
Yeah.
nice if you have 6 names that are all the same. But if you're doing a quick group order and every polo that needs an individual name, but that's why you can charge $6 a polo to do that, because so yeah, so we went to the individual route, but you can sync them up to run like a 4-head or a 6-head.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's crazy how much that has evolved over the years. Just some of the little technology that I started noticing every time you got a machine. And those machines last, if you take care of them, they last 10 to 20 years pumping
Yeah.
out good quality work. But you have to maintain them. I mean,
You gotta oil them and make sure
oil, grease,
all
it's
that stuff.
clean them out. There's the daily maintenance, there's weekly, there's monthly, there's every 6 months, there's a year. Every different area you have to hit in those time frames. And it's tough if you don't keep your schedules on it, which we did on like a spreadsheet. You can fuck up your machine real quick. So
Yeah.
so
It's different when it's yours, and if you're just showing up at a part time or
yeah.
whatever.
If you're paying the lease for the bills for it, it's one thing. But
Yeah.
but also at the same time, if you're running the machine and you have a machine that's not tensioned properly or taken care of properly, and you're getting thread breaks every few minutes, which is not good. Like that's a frustrating thing at your job to be constantly rethreading a needle. Again,
Yeah.
another thing people don't realize how difficult it is.
Oh
When
yeah, I tried doing that by hand.
when
Yeah.
you do it every day,
Yeah.
it comes easy, but you're not sitting there doing it like in front of your face. You're trying to get through a machine and get in there and so and then obviously dealing with bobbin tension, stuff like that. So if you're not maintaining your machine, it's gonna make your job annoying too. So
Yeah.
that's why we maintain the machines. So
Yeah.
so if you're at the end of the day, it shows in the quality. Because if your tension's off, you're going to have bobbin showing through. If your top tension's too loose, you're going to have bird's nests and
The
pulling
bird that's at the
through.
bottom. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a mess, but that's the joys of my life I dealt with, for a good 15 years.
I became really good friends with my lids guy. Shout out to Jason, and he did hundreds of my hats.
Nice.
The bigger orders we would piece out to the head office and just order it at the head office. But
Yeah.
I had watched him do probably 500 of my hats. Just waiting, testing the digitization and it's too big here, too small there, colors, and just really understanding on the ground level. And it gives you a good base because when you're designing hats and stuff, like you said, you
For sure,
how it's gonna work and how it's gonna stitch out, or if it's too much or too little.
I mean, I was really lucky. I had so I always used Tajima machines, and our
Really
tech
good.
from them. This guy was amazing. This guy, he had been around embroidery in the same way I was. Like he had a friend whose dad had a shop, and he had been around it since he was a teenager. And this guy's life was literally embroidery, but it got to a point where he went into the tech side of it because he just didn't want to be running machines anymore. So, and this guy was, when he would come in, I would not stop asking this guy questions, but he was so open and like, even though he was basically telling me to do his job, he was giving me all the, like, at the same time, this guy had so much shit to do because he was the only tech in the area. Again, a dying art of like him knowing those machines. And it was like, it made me learn so much because I could get in there and take apart the machines and put them back together. And when you really see the guts of those machines, you start to understand like how they function and how important timing is. Every timing is everything on those. So yeah, we were constantly timing the machines, timing the cutters. Yeah, people don't realize the shit that goes into that. But and then two, we were down the street from, I don't know if you know M&R. They're the largest screen printing equipment manufacturer in the world, and they are a Polish-based company. It was a Polish immigrant who came to America and started it, and now they have a factory in Poland as well. But he came to like Glen Ellen, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago, and he started this company, and it became the best. They're the best of the best, and everyone uses them. If you're like a real shop, like a real top tier shop, you put the money out for them. They make some of the most insane equipment. They literally made a robot to take the shirts off the machine and put it on the dryer. It's a robot arm. So if you're a big shop and you don't want to pay a guy just to take shirts off, and you need to move fast, this thing was taken off. They set the world record of like shirts printed in an hour, and the arm was taking off the shirts and putting it on. It was literally just, it's flying. It's crazy. So they make all sorts of crazy shit. They have like a 250,000 square foot facility now in one of it was basically down the street from my shop. And so we had all M&R equipment too. And again, it was like screen printing stuff. It's watching those machines run. It's like, and the air exhaling, and like, it's all, I don't know, man. Being in a print shop and an embroidery shop is very soothing. People don't realize. It's also very hot, but yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, just all that stuff. Yeah, learning about it, it's pretty cool. People don't realize kind of what goes in to make this stuff. So, but yeah, I'm glad to know it. And it's a large chunk of my life, but I'm also glad not to be doing it anymore. So
you must be a huge fan of Fanatics, and they're you must be a huge fan of Fanatics, and they're amazing quality to licensed product and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I said that really sarcastically because they're destroying.
I never really messed with them as far as buying stuff from them. I never really looked. I don't know. They blew up way too fast. I knew that. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Which no one's ever going to hold their quality blown up that fast. So, but yeah,
all they care about is the licensing. Like they care to get the license, and then once they're there at the top, they just give you bullshit. So I don't know if you're following the uniform debacle right now with MLB, and the latest thing now is all their pants are see through. So
they're saying it's all performance based.
Yeah, which is bullshit.
Yeah, which is
like come on, man.
Guys grew up wearing. So baseball was my main sport growing up.
Right.
I played on a national team, and this is where I really learned it set the standard for like what I thought people deserve as far as uniforms go. We had a coach this guy's a nut job at the end of the day. He's a nut, but he was like the greatest coach I've ever had. And we had 7 different uniform sets that equated to like, what is that? I don't know, whatever. Hundreds of variations that we could have at any given time. And we had a phone streak because you didn't have email back then, really. Where, the captain would call you and say, okay, we're going to wear uniform combos 1, 12, and 30. Bring that stuff to the tournament. And like, all this shit was all patchwork. It was all, pinstriped or solids and patchwork, but, nothing was sublimated or screen printed at all. At all. Nothing. And so, like, as a baseball player, you grew up wearing that stuff. You know what it feels like. You don't need a football uniform to play baseball. Now, when I played football, I don't want patches all over me that people can grab onto and restrict me.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we tape our pads in our jerseys together with double-sided tape. We don't want anything. Like, we want to.
You don't want no advantage given to the other team. Yeah.
Baseball, it's like they don't need performance. They're jogging around for 3 hours.
You got chains, As soon as you see Manny Ramirez's or Poppy's pants, you know that they're not
Yeah,
wearing the shit for performance. It's swagged out, and leave it at that. There's no reason why people should have see-through pants.
Actually, what it is.
Yeah, but that's a story for another day. But so in terms of that's awesome. I didn't realize how deep your roots went, and learning about it's fascinating. So we definitely have a lot of stuff that we could talk about later. But
yeah.
In terms of getting back to the world of Clink, so you relatively new, everything so far is still in production. So if you were to wave your magic wand and were able to put one of them to deliver faster, to get in your hand, which one are you most excited about getting in your hands?
Let me see. Actually, what do I have? I got.
So you got No Really, Hang Time, Band for Life, Sweet Spot, Life Hackers, and With Sprinkles.
I really want to see Sweet Spot, to be honest. I just think that's the most.
Hold on, I can pull them up. Hold on a second.
I have them right here, actually. Yeah, I think that's the most like potential for texture.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I really like, from a historical standpoint of my life, like that concept was really based off of like
going to
when you played in Little League, we would go back to every game, you go out for ice cream or whatever, and that was a huge thing, was getting those little hat cups, or you go to the ballpark and like they had those too. So I think that one's probably the one where I wish I could get. But I think that one's gonna be a few months supposedly. The Life Hackers, was my first one through, so I'm kind of, that'll be cool, and that's supposed to come in March, I guess. I would say Sweet Spot.
Yeah, that was a good one. I really started to realize how you were starting to see things when you posted the variations. Facebook group, Band for Life.
As far as like the one I'm definitely most psyched about in the of just, I think the potential is definitely this one. Because when I sat down and did it right away, I was like, oh, this is an every person hat of like, if I'm gonna wear it, I want a blue and orange, or I want a black and white, or because I'm a Sox fan, so it's like, again, another, even if you Sox or Cubs, we have a history of sucking. So it was like, I was like, shit, you could do this in any colorway, and this would be awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have to start with black and white, though, because it's just the most universal,
That's how the glow would work the best, too.
There's going to be obvious Raiders fans or whatever who are like, think it's for them, but I didn't have the intention of it being a glow in the dark, but I'm neither, it doesn't do anything for me one way or the other.
Yeah.
So, it's not a huge plus one to me, but like, it's cool, So, I thought the side patch was cool, add on.
I like how they modified the other side patch to make it fit this. I thought that was a really cool touch.
Definitely. If it didn't fit the aesthetic of the design, I would have been like, what are we doing here? But I do like it, so which I'm very learning quickly. People are very indifferent on or I should say they're very set on side patches or not. But that seems like a whole nother discussion.
That's a.
Like, I don't know what the hate is. I feel like you don't really notice a side patch on a hat when you wear it. I'm like,
so there's
if it was a flex fit hat, I get it because you do notice it.
Yeah,
but I feel like on fitted hats, I don't know.
I can't really relate because there's certain people that just have decided. I feel like that they don't like them, and no matter what it is, it doesn't matter what the hell it is, they're just not gonna like it.
Yeah,
so it's just one of those things.
Yeah. So I definitely, am probably approaching things more of like, could it be a series or could it be,
Yeah.
I don't know. At the end of the day, I signed a contract. It's not mine anymore. So whatever they do with it, they do with it. You know, I really thought Square Body was going to go through this week, and it didn't. You know, so maybe it'll go, you know, another time. But I mean, that's a design I'm not touching. It was an homage to a friend,
Right.
so it is what it is. I've actually had that design kind of sitting around for a little while, and I was, even with all my connections, no one wanted to embroider one hat for me because they were like, I don't know, everyone's just busy, you know, they don't want to do one hat, and I didn't want to wait to sit around, so I've been kind of sitting on that design, and I actually have a digitized file already for it, but I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna put it up here. I don't really know if this is a Clink hat or not, but I'm like, I'm just gonna put it up because I like the design, you know, it's a meaningful design to me, but you know, I was like, yeah, let's see if they like it. I was shocked when I saw it was up because I was like, this was kind of a throwaway to me in a way. It was kind of like, yeah, whatever. If they like it, they like it. If not, and then yeah, they get picked up. They, you know, I don't know. I don't know what the system is of voting. I don't know how it works. So the decisions are, you know, it is what it is. So, but yeah, I was really hoping that would go through. It had finished third in votes. So
Which design was it?
the Square Body.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it finished third in votes, but I'm quickly realizing the votes don't matter. So, you know, but that's cool. I mean, if it gets made down the road, you know, maybe it will. But so,
I mean, Casey definitely. When we had him on
I like it.
he liked it a lot. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it might be another week thing.
yeah, yeah. But they went with. I mean, I think I saw the lineup. They took one that voted 20%. So I don't know the rhyme or reasoning behind what they pick. But again, I tell people that's like kind of are have the same questions. I'm like, it's not our business. At the end of the day, it's their business. If they want to manufacture a design that they like and they see the potential in, that's their call. You know.
Yeah.
So, you know, whatever. Yeah. It's our choice to submit or not. So,
I think the voting isn't the be all end all, but it can
not.
sway their decision. I think at the end of the day, they, like you said, they're gonna make what they want to make.
Yeah.
And the voting can sway it one way or another. I don't think there's like a set law or whatever, because even if it finishes well, they don't want to do it. They won't do it. And if something finishes bad and they want to do it, they'll do it. So it's
I mean, historically, you just look at the way sales go on a site. It was probably sorting my bestseller.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, often the designs that get the most votes, they don't always sell that well. So
yeah.
Again, you never know, and so I think maybe they approach it from they want the most diverse offering, maybe potentially of that week, and they're trying to hit. Maybe they see, maybe they have a chart of demographics that they kind of focus towards.
Mm-hmm.
Say, you know, these are the designs we feel most fill those gaps. You know, I don't know, maybe that's what they do, but. Again, you know, when it comes to submitting, we choose to submit, and if it doesn't go, it doesn't go. We can always resubmit. You know, and if and again, once we sign that contract, it's not ours anymore. What they do with it, they do with it. And,
yeah.
And I've learned. At first, I took offense to everything. I was being an artist about it. We take offense to, you know, people fucking with our work. So, but I realized from a business standpoint, real quick, I'm like. This is a business. I don't have ownership in this business. My involvement is community based, and I can choose to either let it affect my day and ruin my day, my week, or whatever, or I can say fuck it. Like, cool. I have 6 cool designs in the shop, and I'm proud of those. Like, no, let's just build on that. And now I'm starting to see what works and what doesn't work, and it's like, okay, I'm just gonna keep whatever speaks to me. So if I have an idea of something very deep and meaningful, I'm gonna take a certain approach to it. And if I get like some crazy ass collab with Creature where he wants like a fucking cow with crab legs and wings and like take another approach to it. So it's like I'm just gonna keep doing what speaks to me, and then whatever happens, happens. If they like it, they don't. You know, if not, this stuff we can always take the stuff and then try to get it made somewhere else too if we want. But you know, it's a matter of what you believe in and how you want to invest your time. So,
Yeah, it's a leverage thing too, right? So you understand the leverage you have as an artist and how much weight that carries, and
Yeah.
you don't want to oversell that, and you don't want to be a pain in the ass. So that's
Yeah.
like a level of maturity. I mean, you got that being a business owner and seeing it from the other side too. So I think that kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
To make yourself easier to work with.
Yeah, I definitely when I entered, I entered it pretty hot. Like I thought I was gonna get stuff done real quick. I thought I would, get some success, and then, the only things I got through were collabs at first, and I'm like, fuck, I'm like, what am I doing wrong with my designs that are like, are they not like thought out well enough, or I don't know. And I just honestly, I stopped paying attention to everything day to day, like looking at what everyone else was doing and looking at like what they were responding to and what they were posting about. And I just said, fucking, I'm just gonna do what I want to do and just post and then leave it and then walk away. And if I find out by watching your show on Sunday that it's up, I'm like, cool, that's awesome. Then I go to work on Monday. I try to get people to vote for me.
Yeah.
It's a game you play. It's like you got to try to get some votes now. So annoying our friends on Facebook and Instagram to go vote for us. So, but it's cool because I'm like, if you get it made and you are obviously you're in the shop, but it's like that's cool to say like you had a hat made. So that's the real like payoff at the end of the day. I think for us as artists is you get to see your artwork on like one of the top quality manufacturers in their industry. That's pretty cool. So
yeah,
I've been trying to get. There's a few female artists that I employed over the past years that I think would really bode well to Clink Room, and I think we need some of that diversity of. And I've been trying to get them to submit, and I said, look, we can work on it together. And one of them made a comment like, "Oh, looks like the stuff you get made at like the at the kiosk at the mall." I go, "No, this is not the same.
Yeah,
this is not kiosk quality shit." I'm like, "This is better than the stuff New Era actually produces for themselves almost."
Yeah, because you get Casey to project manage it.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
well, even for you, the difference between a hat that's embroidered and then put together versus something that can be embroidered on a blank hat. You know that you're busting through the buckram. There's limitations on how far the machine can go and the natural curvature of the hat.
That's why, the only thing with Clink where I'm like, when I look at the charts, the color charts and the swatch charts, I'm like, I know there's more out there.
Yeah.
I know we can do more with these.
Yeah.
I get it. They have to be, I think a limit to a certain degree, but like I have a concept I'm working on now, and I want to do a shit. What's it called? I just lost the name. But the red and white or red and black plaid. The
oh, okay. Yeah, like that flannel.
Buffalo plaid.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I want to do that as the UV. And I'm like, I message them. I go, can we do it? We'll see what they say, but it fits the concept. So I'm like, I hope they do it. But yeah, knowing what I know we could potentially do some more stuff. And again, there may be some MOQs change with that when you try to get a little, create. And then if we brought sublimation into the process, I know the MOQ is going to be, I'm sure it's way higher.
Yeah, way more.
But I'm like, man, some of the stuff. That's what I started. One of the last things I was really doing at my company was combining sublimation and embroidery on hats, and that was pretty fun. So I just brought in all sublimation equipment to the shop to do in house.
Mm-hmm.
So I was having some fun with that. I was also developing a t-shirt vending machine. That was my last venture.
Oof.
So.
Instant t-shirts. That'd be good for like bachelor parties and.
It worked. I got it to work, but it worked, and then COVID hit. So
yeah.
So there's. I don't think they're happy about the 3 vending machines that are still sitting there. Just sell them. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I was like, we tested it and it worked. We were starting to test it. We were putting it into schools. So the idea was like a spirit shop in the school, but 24/7, 365. So you had a vending machine you could walk up to and purchase a shirt right there.
Oh, that's sick.
And so it was, and the machine housed about 7,000 in sales worth of apparel, because we took out all the cooling system, and so we use that for additional inventory. And the shirts were all we call them T-Ritos because they were all rolled like a burrito.
Yeah.
Stacked in the machine. So they were like kind of like big cans in a way. And there was able to get a large amount of inventory in there. And we tested it, and then of course right at the end of the test is when COVID hit. So we never really got to revisit it, but that was about $20,000 that got burned away essentially.
Yeah. That's one of my my expanding markets. So I started a jersey company with a coworker because we were playing a lot of intramural sports. So we would just figure out how to manufacture, talk to the manufacturers directly, and get the jerseys made. But one of the spin-offs was that I started selling a lot of jerseys to bachelor parties, but they wanted like parody jerseys, like the Last Shot or the Bachelor Party or whatever that looked like like high-end jerseys, but for like one-off things. And then then COVID hit and no one's got married anymore and stuff like that. And the world stopped. So it was definitely a fun time to do stuff. But yeah, I definitely can relate to that. But in terms of your work with the Clink Room, like are there any specific memorable collaborations that you can kind of think about that really whether they made it to the shop or not? Like who are some of the fun people?
I mean, Creature's obviously always fun. He's me and him. So like, he's the first dude that really kind of hit me up. That was like, just kind of like, hey, I like what you're doing, and kind of gave me some advice and kind of give me some real insight on how everything kind of works as far as the process and kind of what's been successful. And he was really the first one to be like, hey, don't do parody shit. And I was like, oh, okay. I took all that down and restarted. And then right away he was kind of throwing me some ideas. And he's just a great idea guy, creatively.
Yeah.
The shit that he sends me sometimes, I'm just like, I always tell him, I go, look, I like the idea. I'm like, but I think of everything from a business standpoint of will it sell? And like some of the stuff is so like niche that I'm just like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm like, because I want to push numbers in a way too. Like I want to sell. I don't want to just keep putting shit in and not sell. Like I want to make sure I go no less than 72 at least. I'm like, because to me anything under that, I'm not like, I don't think is that successful. So Creature is always a trip, always fun, and I think he's great for the community and the good and the bad. But and then the only other people I've really worked with is there was COD on the one, and we got a couple actually in queue, I think 1 or 2 in queue. But I think one of the cooler ones was when a guy named Dick, he hit me up.
Dizzle.
I think he's got one now through the shop with someone else, but he's just a fan. He's a customer more, first than anything. And he's like, look, I keep trying to get people to like work with me, and no one's really interested. And I go, well, send me some ideas. I'll take a look at them, and I'll tell you if anything I think is cool. And he hit me up with like a bunch of ideas that were like, okay, it was kind of cool just to like see someone who knows they don't have the skill set to do it. And like, he's not even sketching or anything. He just has ideas.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's fun to be able to like, someone throws something at you and you're like, oh, I never really thought of that. And then that kind of sparks you, back and forth to be like, and then I make it come to life and he sees it. And then it's like, okay, cool. So like we had a couple, like I really want LL Blue Jay to get through. And I'm actually going to rework it because I think it's too funny not to do.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we just change the name a little and we're fine. I think the name's fine anyways, but it's not like you were saying LL Cool J. So, but I think that's a funny one. I just never thought of that,
Yeah.
So that's kind of been it's been very diverse of like someone who's super involved on the creative side with just conceptually to Steve, who's a creative director who speaks my language, to just someone who's amongst the community, kind of on the outside looking in, and it's all been very different and kind of fun. So, and I get messages, all the time now, people with ideas and stuff, and I've done a few and have a few that I like, but yeah, that would probably sum it up the best.
That's cool. I was having like an advanced kind of discussion about this yesterday. I think what the concept artists got to understand is like if you just throw out concepts to artists and get upset that they don't take them, like you got to understand like they got to stop what they're doing. They take all now the time risk is at the artist's hand.
Yeah.
Like if the concept doesn't get through, then
Yeah. I mean,
the concept person didn't waste 20 hours drawing something.
Like being like, hey, here's like $250, do the artwork. It's not like that scenario, which again, if someone brings me a good idea and I'm like, oh, this is cool, like I'll sit down and do it. Like I work pretty fast, so I don't think I've spent more than 10 hours on a design.
Okay.
Maybe refining it or whatnot, but I don't know. I work pretty quick, but so I'm not too worried about the time investment sometimes. But I just know now, like, it's not gonna fly. Like, I know it's not gonna fly. It is or isn't. Anyone who brings me a Kong idea now, I just say no because I'm like, I just don't know with the Kongs. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to do anymore. So many people have done stuff. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like nothing seems original anymore. But there still are original ideas. But it's one of those things where the Kong is like, it's just so oversubmitted. I think at this point.
Mm-hmm.
People try to pull on that that string that I'm like, it's just not my thing. I'm not going to do it. So, but yeah, it's
to be like a sacred object for a while.
I just want to do shit that speaks to me, and it's like it's their branding. So it's like, I don't know. It's not fun to me to take someone else's branding and just reimagine it in a way. Like there's parody, and then there's just like reworking stuff. Like that's different.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's but it's cool that it's a community and that people can come to each other with those ideas. Like that's what's fun. So like again, bringing it back to the AI kind of discussion, it's like it sucks when someone thinks they like can't just bring their idea to an artist. Like just admit, like if you're an artist or not, admit it. And if you're not, it's no fault of your own.
Mm-hmm.
But like just collab. That's what's like this community is built on is collaboration. You look at if you search those hats, like you see how much collab work has been done, and it's like
some of the best hats are the collab hats. Yeah.
So, and again, great ideas. When you're sitting there designing something on your own, and you from start to finish, when you sketch it and you produce the finished product, like. There's so much stuff that you could miss that you could have done differently. And so when you collab, you start to get that feedback of like...
Get more eyes on it.
Yeah, and it sparks another idea that either sparks a whole new concept or it just refines your concept enough to where like you get a new +1 out of it, or it just sends it to another realm where it's like, oh shit, this is real cool now. So yeah, so sometimes it's, it's not always fun to like do the start to finish process on your own because you miss stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's times where I post something and then I get a comment right away and I'm like, oh fuck. I'm like, I totally missed that. And they're like, they're right. I should have done that, or So I'm trying to think through stuff more, but to me, that's the benefit of collab. And even like my relationship I've had with like Creature, like there's a lot of times I get stumped on a name or something. He's real good with names, so like. I'll just toss it to him and be like, hey, what's this? Like, what do you think about this? Even little stuff like that. I know a lot of people do that. They share files, like a share progress. And it's not necessarily collab in the true concept of collab, but it's like, it's feedback. So there's that community of collab or feedback. And like I have one right now that I submitted called Reincarnation.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said, I messaged Creature. I go, hey, I got an idea of just like a skull coming or a hand coming out of the ground, and I don't want to do like rest in peace or anything. Like I was like, what would be kind of funny to put there? And he said BRB, and I go, wow, that's good. And then he realized something, and I go, well, he shouldn't be holding a rose. I go, no, it's a carnation. It's reincarnation. He's like, oh fuck, I missed that. And so like, that's the fun of like bouncing off each other. Like, and now the BRB makes so much more sense with the whole overall concept. And it's like, it's at the end of the day, it's stupid, but it's also fun, and it's like it was a fun kind of interaction. So that's to me, that's why like the only thing that AI threatens is community, in my sense. Like, that's what I think. So there's no real threat to artists individually, in my opinion, because we're all creating better work. But it's a threat to the community, I think, that aspect of like working together.
I think that's why people were so, at least the artists at first were so protective over it, because it does potentially, not now. I mean, because there's obviously the AI can't do a lot of the things like Casey mentioned. Like it can't, it can't do it right now, but it down the road potentially it might. So they're very protective over it, and understandably so, and they want to protect. I guess the sanctity of it, like
it's the biggest thing with AI too. It's like it really. I mean, if you look back where they've started implementing it in our lives per se, it's not going against the creative community. They really kind of they brought it to like the everyday man is what they brought it to.
Yeah,
be like, okay, you want a stupid ass like cool Instagram profile photo of yourself that like looks like a superhero? Here's this tool. Like they're not going to go pay one of us, $250, $500 to redraw their
portrait.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, like it's fun for them, but now when you start to get into the realm of commerce, of like where you're like taking money out of people's pockets, like that's where people are going to get a little bent out of shape. So it's understandable, but like again, the skill set that we have as artists, it's not threatened by that. I'm not threatened by that. Because like AI, it's like when you look at it, like it has no depth to it. There's no real depth there. It's all flat.
It's soulless,
yeah. So you're always going to need that. And then even at the end of the day, he's like Clink and anyone else who's taking this file that's not production ready, they need us artists anyways to make it production ready. So because there's no software just automatically generating. I should say there are software now that do vector to digitizing, but it does not do a great job.
Yeah, it's not clean work.
And that program is good for the 80% of our industry that is in like running out of their basement or their garage. That's good for them because they maybe can't afford to pay a digitizer, X amount of dollars per 1,000 square stitches to digitize a design. So, but that vector, even in like for like Pulse right now, which runs a lot of embroidery software, it's a basic machine software, but it's digitizing as well. Even they have a vector to stitch tool that generates it, and it's horrible. It's bad. It's so bad. So nothing will beat an artist sitting there who can touch every pixel and every point and make the necessary adjustments to make it as high quality as possible. So
I think that's the big thing too. Just having someone who potentially is like a hack or like a fraud, say that they made something that they didn't, and it's just so apparent. And
I mean, it's not the first example of, at least one since I've been involved, with people who are taking clip art and using it,
tracing,
and it's no different than someone using clip art versus AI to me. Now, again, if you've purchased that clip art and you own licensing and you've gone through the proper process of that, that's one thing, but also not cool. But if you're just like ripping clip art and posting that, that's not cool. But again, I mean, you at least have a vector-based file, I guess. But again, it's like you can tell the difference between clip art online versus like AI versus a purely unique design.
Mm-hmm.
It's just all different. Clip art is developed in mass and put out to consume. They have the throw shit against the wall model. It's just all bad. It's a lot of hand drawn stuff that's just image traced and then put up, and you see the imperfections on everything. So it's there's a variety of ways to cheat the system, but like what happened is someone came in and decided to try to fuck over some of the better designers in the country and are outside of the country. Like we wouldn't notice,
Yeah, like we would welcome you.
So it's like
that was the problem.
Come on, bro. But then after that, it's not about the individual anymore. You move on from that. There's a lot of fucked up stuff that's been said on both sides and some weird stuff that went on, which whatever. That's not the story anymore. Quickly, it really just needed to be about like, okay, well, what do we do about AI now going forward? What's the standard? So it was an interesting week, but whatever.
Yeah, you don't want it to swing the other way where there's like now suddenly legit artists have to defend themselves. Or like
and again, like I mean, I now started sketching on really last year was the first time I started really sketching on an iPad.
Mm-hmm.
And I quickly learned like, oh, it's catching a time lapse of everything I do, which is cool. Like that's pretty sweet. And it's automatic. It's like even in Procreate, every time you open a new document, it automatically sets it to record.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a universal on or off. So you either have it on because it's always on, or you actively go switch it off before you start every project. And that's how it is with I usually use Fresco a lot, but either one, it's automatic. So yeah, anyone ever comes at me and they want to like question it, I've got the receipts. So it's like I got a video of me drawing it. I don't have to tell you. So, and then the thing is too, as an artist, between sketch and like I tell this to people that are trying to learn sketching and designing, it's like it's all refine. That's why we sketch, and that's why you like when you look at a time lapse video, you don't just see like the tracing automatically become the finished design. You see the tracing look very different from the finished product because every layer we do, we've now refined, cut out,
cleaner. Yeah.
You really start to see like what works, what doesn't work. You start to see some little adjustments made here and there. And that's the process. That's why it's fun to watch those time lapse videos because like you really get some insight of like concept to finished product, and especially with this because we have to refine and take away and make sure the quality is there for the embroidery. At least that's my mindset always. So
yeah.
But yeah. So again, it's at the end of the day, what makes Clink unique and different is the community, and that's what's got to be protected. And the collab, like to me, that's really cool. But yeah. So it's just got to be protected. So I think they get it. I think it's gonna be fine. We all freaked out a little bit first, but we'll get through it. We're all grown ass men.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that the positive that we can kind of glean from the situation is that potentially like everyone it's a unique industry because like all the artists are kind of in competition of each other, but then if you do the right thing and network with the right people, a lot of this stuff gets shared and a lot of people get better, and I think that overall I think that's what everyone wants is that we create stuff that becomes legendary and it makes other people better.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's not like
it
takes someone out.
Well, it's funny too, is like I had two scenarios over my time too, where it was like one of them I was working on a Valhalla type design, like a Viking funeral, and literally an hour before I was gonna post mine, someone had like a similar concept they just posted, and Creature messaged me. He's like, "Oh fuck!" It was a collab that we were doing. I was like, "Oh fuck!" I was like, "It happens, People have two totally different viewpoints on the same concept. They didn't look alike at all, but like it was both Viking funerals, and you're like, "Oh fuck!" And then I did another one that was like a dragon base design, and again, someone the next day posted one, And I was just like, oh, like it looks like we both had dragons on the mind. It is also the year of the dragon or whatever, so it's like,
Yeah,
people are thinking about that stuff. It happens. So you're
it's
gonna.
tough.
To me, that's the one that's the one speed bump like that we should always have. We should only have to worry about is that we can come up with like-minded ideas, and that's okay because they end up looking totally different. And there's stuff I did her like I did a hippos design that I submitted. It was like a hungry hippos, and I didn't know like a year ago someone did one. That's when I learned to like really search before I do something and research to make sure it's not been done. Uh, and then I look at theirs, I go, "Oh fuck! Like they did it way better." Anyway, so it's like I was like, "Whatever." It was already produced and everything. And I was like, "Okay, I didn't realize I should search the site and like look at this stuff." And it was one of my first few original designs I posted. So I go, whatever. It was fun to do. I was testing out a perspective thing, is what I was doing with the design. So I got to run it through and test it and learn a few things. And that's what I took from it. And then I learned to search the site before you spend
Yeah.
8 hours on a design or 5 hours on a design.
I used to be on the side of like all things should be sacred, and if someone did it before, it shouldn't be done again. But I'm starting to move towards the other side of it. Like you can't, especially if the concept isn't something that you made up. It'd be different if it's like, creature wanted to make like a left-handed, flying monkey with wings or whatever. Okay, you copied that thing, like that's a little weird. But if someone took something that's like in popular lore, like a newer clinker posted something, and someone tagged me in right away. I don't know if they tagged me, but they mentioned my name, like, oh, watch, Leon's gonna hate you because he did this before. And the person was so like apologetic, and I was like, you know what, listen, man, I didn't invent that character. That's like a thing that exists. So if you want to go for it, go for it. Like it doesn't like if you didn't see the eight hats I made before, then you didn't see them. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
well, you know what the phrase I hate the most when people throw it around is that reminds me of or that looks like, because a lot of people say it before they actually looked at the two things.
mm-hmm.
It's just a memory. They're thinking like, like I just posted recently when pigs fly, and I looked around and I'm like, I'm not really seeing a pigs flying hat. And then someone, and I think Creature or someone else said like, oh, Hat Club had one. Some guy did, and I look at it, and it's just a very cartoony pig with no wings or anything, with like some clouds behind it. I'm like, this is totally different design. Like I wanted to do a very streamlined, like with wings and kind of like And I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna take mine down. I'm like, mine's different. It's a known basic, it's a known thing. Like it's a
It's a
phrase,
saying, yeah.
It's very popular in the zeitgeist of phrases. So it's like when I looked on Clink and no one's produced it, it's not, I'm gonna just throw my design out there. It's again, it's a totally original sketch I did on my own. So it's like I'm not worried about it looking like something else. If it does, I'll take it down if someone feels like if I copied them or whatever. But I tell you, I've been doing this long enough to where I don't want to or I don't need to copy anyone. So
Yeah, you know your intentions at the end of the day.
It's like, and I get it. Actually, what happened with the Dunkin' Donuts design, the Dunkers or whatever they call it. Again, it was one of my first real like original designs I posted, and I was like, I drink a lot of Dunkin' Donuts coffee. It was sitting on my desk, and I was like, how to do a Dunkin' Donut, And apparently, someone submitted one like a year before, and it did not really look exactly the same. But so because of that reason, it didn't get through the shop. But then they came back to me and said, "Hey, if you split commissions, we'll put it in the shop, and you both get credit." And I was like, "Okay, whatever. I just want it made. It's a cool design." So what ended up being was amalgamation of the two designs coming together. Casey redid it. And I was like, whatever. I just want my hat and design. I want it in the shop. I want something, to be made because it's just cool. And so that's what I care about at the end of the day. I don't care about the commission so much, but So those things happen, and there's, these scenarios happen, and you kind of come to a conclusion and you deal with it. But again, we're all grown ass human beings, and we can, work together and have conversations and make stuff work.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not for all that like foot stomping and like,
yeah.
oh, look at me, I did this, 10
Yeah.
years ago.
Nothing's original anymore at the end of the day. Like, we should know that by now.
Mhm.
We're not living in the, 800 BC. It's like nothing's original anymore. Everything is influenced by something in a way, So it
Yeah.
is what it is. But
Yeah, unless you're coming up with a completely new concept, whatever. But then you kind of wonder why you would hand away the rights to it anyway. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's we could debate philosophies and all that
Yeah,
stuff. And it's super interesting to me, but people are probably like, get to the hats.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
sorry.
no, don't apologize. We can keep it an ongoing thing later, and we can record off separate things, because I think this subject is fascinating, and it's complicated, and it's not black and white, and there's so many aspects to it. And like I said before, like I used to be on the something should be sacred stuff, and oh, someone did it, so you can't do it. Like I used to be more like that, but now it's just like just fucking let it go, man. Like
I just want my flying cars and my automated showers that the Jetsons promised me.
Yeah,
that's all I want. I don't care about AI. Just give me that shit.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
The future is not what we thought it was going to be.
Definitely.
Very
but,
all right, to the
first
hat.
off, to the hats. So let's cover the fresh colorways. So Chug came, and these are all, I mean, we won't take a rocket science to figure out. These are all drink and drinks related stuff, all different colorways. But yeah, so let's break down these 6. So first hand is we got Old Fashions, Haracha Man, and Caffeine Power. Initial thoughts here.
I mean, I like them all. I love a good character design, and I love vintage design, man. There's nothing like the hand drawn shit from back in the day. It was so. I mean, to think of how they made all that stuff back then, it blows me away. I collect typewriters and I refurbish them.
Oh, word. Okay.
I do that specifically to remind me of like how stuff used to be made, and it was so hand drawn and involved. Like just all the every piece is metal, and it's like it's crazy. So, anyways, when it comes to old design stuff, I love it. So that old fashioned is pretty cool. Plus, I like an old fashioned. So
it's a good double. Yeah.
I mean, Caffeine Power, I think, is a classic design. I don't like the tone on tone as much. It doesn't pop. You use some detail there.
Yeah, I feel like it's lacking a little bit of contrast.
Exactly. Yeah, it's gonna the contrast and the shadowing. It's not doing any favors, but I think if you got to go with like a little darker brown in there to make it pop. But I don't know the philosophy. Because the others have darks in it, so it's like you got in the Chug, you got the Haracha Man. He's got some contrast, so they're all good. They're all solid designs. I like them all. I like the colorway on Caffeine Power for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Like if it just had like a little bit of like really dark brown just to outline it, I think that would have been like a flawless hat. A lot of people missed out on the original. I even missed out on the original. That was one of the ones where you saw the mock-up, and I didn't see the vision for it. I guess it looked really flat, but when the embroidery came out, I was like, "Holy, they really packed it."
Dude, no one can ever tell what it's going to be at the end. It's so that dimension that you get from the embroidery.
Yeah,
it does so much to it. It's pretty cool. So,
and
any one of these are great.
Yeah, Haracha Man, like Kool-Aid guy, like it's just so cool. Like it's like a corporate identity.
It's a little sticks. Is that like a ladle in his hand? Yeah, it's a ladle.
Yeah, that's what to scoop the stuff, and the colorways.
It's like rice water, right? Haracha.
I think it's like it's like a party drink. I think for Mexicans.
I mean, I know they obviously always have it. If you go to a Mexican restaurant, there's not Haracha.
Yeah,
you should not be ordering from there.
Yeah,
so it's a classic. Yeah, it's a great drink.
They nailed. I think the color is so good too. The black with that wheat.
Yeah.
but really good
I'm
three.
an anti-black guy in the sense of like I don't like using black. I don't like using pure black like as a base or as a in my designs.
For the
I
hat?
try to, yeah, for either. I don't know why. I
Okay.
like
Like two-tone.
I'll do some black ones for sure, but like even like Fan for Life was actually graphite when I did it.
Mm,
So
fair enough.
um but yeah, I'm not I don't know. There's something about black, like even black shoes I don't
Interesting.
love there's something about not using it but coming close to using it that actually helps things pop a little more.
Okay.
Um it's the way the eye sees and contrast between like black and white. Like it's funny when you work in Illustrator and you take a black and white image, you take a white image and you put it on black, it looks thicker in a black background.
Uh-huh.
You literally have to, if you actually properly want to present your client with finished designs, when you have a black version, a colorway of it, and you have a white, you need to actually take away from that white version so that they look the same next to each other. Like that's how the eyes view this stuff.
Interesting.
So there's something about it that I always stay away from because I don't want that weird kind of visual thing that happens. But I'm not saying it doesn't take away from hat.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't deny that black sells anyway. So it's like
The black, well, any logo on black is going to pop off
exactly
more,
yeah.
which is just by contrast.
I mostly rule of thumb. I don't use it in the design. I'm not opposed to doing like a black hat.
Yeah.
But I personally like to just like try to be slightly different with it. But
It's interesting.
I love it. It's all they're all
Yeah.
good. Yeah, they did. What they did to Hiracha Man, they should have done to Caffeine Power
Mm-hmm.
with just the contrast, and it would have been the best one for sure out of these three.
Yeah. Oops. Press the wrong button. Hold on. Then we got Boba Boy, Buzz Killers, and Sip and Rip. So Boba Boy's back. That's a good one.
But I love a good maroon hat. So I think maroon is probably the most underutilized base, especially with like a blue, like a good old Montreal kind of look to it.
Or even Colorado, the Avalanche.
Yeah, the Avalanche. Yeah. Again, yeah, it's a fun little character, and again, they put the contrast there, so it's like, wish you would have seen it over there, but Buzz Killers, that's pretty cool too. Are those
the bees and the hops?
Yeah. I mean, the Stein gets a little lost in it, but it's still pretty cool design. I mean, you get it, you know.
Yeah.
I personally, being a Bears fan, I can't like green and gold, so. But
FTP.
Yeah, stay away from that. So, but yeah, Sip and Rip that's pretty cool. I like that.
I like Sip and Rip. I love the details. I just feel on a hat though, it kind of gets a little. It's not enough. Like that'd be an amazing like T-shirt.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're talking about a drink themed hat, it doesn't scream that for sure.
Yeah,
it's it's more like it's obviously a mix between the two, but of a skate hat versus a coffee hat, or I mean, that's a coffee cup in his hand, right?
I think he's got coffee. Yeah, it's tough.
They're all good designs. Design wise, they're all great, but and I like I don't know what that color is on the Sip and Rip, but I do like kind of the variations of greens, the kind of
it's almost monochromatic. It's like got a green filter on it almost. You know, everything is in a green hue.
Yeah, they're all good. They should just drop them after Friday, and I'll love them all more.
But yeah, those are the 6 fresh colorways.
Cool theme.
Yeah.
Thematically, I've been a little questioning what they were going for. This one makes sense, though.
This one's obvious.
Yeah.
I think the next couple are going to be obvious too. So, so these are the last calls. So these will all be up for pre-order until midnight tonight. So you have a last chance to get in. I think Frenchie, you man, I love that one a lot, and that colorway is just so easy. Black, gray, and pink under.
Yeah,
That can be made into a number of different
yeah.
colors after.
Pink is so underappreciated in the. I think just in general, I think we could say across most men. I would say.
Yeah. Well, no team wears it. No team uses pink in their
Yeah,
colorway, really.
Yeah, I mean, you get like probably minor league teams, but that's about it. And then obviously you get breast cancer awareness. You see a lot of pink.
Everyone leans into it, but no one has as a primary color.
Yeah, but there's a lot of hats. I actually had a custom one made for me when they do that, whatever that like $80 hat you can buy that's custom for you. I went and designed everything without any front embroidery because I was going to get it embroidered with something else. And I put a pink undervisor on it.
Yeah.
And I love pink. I don't shy away from it. So
yeah, I can think of one team.
Yeah, I love it. I love it with the black. It's a good hat.
Calgary Hitman.
If you understand Frenchies, you know what he's really saying is, fuck you. That's pretty much their attitude. So
yeah.
Same with Boston Terriers, how Gary is. So they have a very FU attitude, and they're like, they know they're cute as hell. So like, you're gonna fucking do whatever they want. So that's their attitude. So
very stubborn. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it, and it's a good, just solid, kind of cartoonish
mascot 80s.
Mix of detail and cartoon. So
I love that one a lot.
Yeah. Prairie Storm I don't like just because I'm sick of snow. I don't want to see snow anymore. But it's a very interesting design for a hat, It's well done for sure. And it's very stoic. And I like it. I mean, that thing's selling well too.
All three are solid.
And then the Nowhere to Hide I definitely would pick it as my favorite.
Yeah,
because it's just like, and I know there was another hat that was like I think it was a
Kong,
but it was a very just side to side.
Yeah,
very just like one side was this, one side was that. And I'm not saying it's like no one redid or stole anything. This was genius the way it was done. That's very. I would imagine they did a lot of drawing for this. I would have to imagine there's a lot of iterations of this. Because to get that right with the face ripping away and actually make it look like motion. And then really you get the kind of the Jekyll, like he's obviously you see almost pain in both of their faces. Like the painful process.
You could almost hear the sound.
Yeah.
Of the
face. Did you watch the new the Loki show?
Mm-mm.
Oh, so he like keeps slipping in and out of time.
Okay.
He asks, he goes, "Does it look bad?" And they're like, "No." And it looks like this, like he's getting ripped apart.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I don't know, it feels pretty bad." And then they're like, "Yeah, it's pretty bad." And I was like Owen Wilson's character. And that's what reminds me of this because he's just like getting ripped apart. And that's what you see. That's what's like, that's what's really cool about that is that you get the feeling of like the I guess the Hyde part is in pain. He's very in pain, getting ripped away like that. And then you get the Jekyll part where it's like, I'm an evil son of a bitch, but this kind of hurts me too.
The textures when they embroider are gonna be crazy. Like
that's
skin ripped and
it's just so hard. Like it's not that they even use gradients in it too. They just did a good job of using fine line to where it's gonna kind of interconnect. Because gradients suck with embroidery. Like you can ruin a design real quick with gradients.
Oh yeah.
So in this, to me, it doesn't use any gradients. So it's like it has that perfect of just two thin lines meeting together to create the necessary thickness that you need. So it's cool. It's a cool design. It's again, I would have to imagine they did a decent amount of iterations of this to get it right. Or they had like some awesome reference. I don't know. Like that's the other thing too. If you had any good reference, like there's no real good reference for something like this. So,
well, Ryan is a professional
yeah,
animator. So he had mentioned when he was on the show, like whenever he'd freeze frame something, make sure it's perfect. So
yeah,
he
yeah,
definitely is the guy to do something like this.
yeah. That's cool. I like that one.
All right, we got the King, Fitted Fanatic and Aurelian, Lone Star by Edge Branding, and then Rogue by Matthew Bell. You have any initial thoughts here?
I do like the King one. I just like the hats being, making the
Yeah, kind of like a Game of Thrones
yeah,
throne thing. That's pretty cool.
yeah. The crown hat's a little weird, but like, I don't know, it's cool. It's just a little the way the brim kind of comes out is a little weird, but it's still it's a fun design overall. The Lone Star Lumber, I'm just not. It just looks too much like a. It just reminds me too much of like
Like an esports logo.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's no real like +1 that makes me like think of anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But design wise, it's done perfectly. It's done very well.
Yeah, it looks good. Solid.
Yeah, it's a great executed design. I just feel like you got to kind of get away from trying to do like mascots, and you got to kind of tell a story more. Like I think that's what just sells best and what people kind of connect to.
Mm.
Got to be kind of a story behind it. So
I almost feel like it doesn't need the bats, and then when they added the barbed wire to the bats, it just became more of a. It kind of takes away from it. Like
yeah,
you got the barbed wire at the bottom, so where are they holding the bat really? Like it's just not practical now. And
it's
it's
like is it a prison team? Like I don't know.
yeah,
But I
like it
guess
reminds me of Negan a little bit.
yeah. I mean, I guess it's
Walking Dead.
I guess you do get the barbed wire fences across like the highway when you're going through those very very rural areas.
Yeah,
They have just those thin little barbed wire fences.
it's just not practical to have it all the way down where the handle is.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And too, I mean, sometimes we have to suspend our imagination, or suspend reality. And these are just designs, so it's like, no one's actually swinging that bat in real life. So, we're not actually asking someone to swing the bat. So,
yeah,
it's just a little design aesthetic, and it's nice, but yeah, I probably would have just kept it at top. But yeah, again, it's a nice, like, if you had a team, like, and they came and wanted this design, it would be a sweet design. I just don't know. Like, it doesn't tell any story to me, and that's what I personally like that. So
yeah.
and then Rogue, I don't really. It's I don't know how much. I don't remember how much they changed to that one.
I don't remember.
I just like the Swiss cheese looking cape,
Cape,
whatever. That's the only thing I don't like about it, but it's.
He's got this like series of like fantasy characters.
Okay.
I don't really know how much this one fits into it. The Rogue, I don't really know too much about it, but I know he had a bunch of other ones, like the Crusader, which was like kind of like the tank character, and then the Necromancer, and all the different ones.
Yeah,
but
man.
Yeah,
it's gonna. I do kind of like the highlights are nice. The colorway, I think it's gonna look nice.
Yeah, it's like a deep purple with like infrared.
Yeah, it's I think it's the end result's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good hat. Yeah, the only thing I don't like is the cape. I would have. It's almost. I don't know. Maybe it's like look like it's a shot up. Maybe I don't know, but hopefully he's not fighting people with guns with only those axes. I think he's screwed.
He's kind of holding the axes a little too high too. You're not gonna get much. I mean, maybe we're getting too nitpicky, but yeah, you're gonna chop someone. You gotta hold the axe.
I just would like to see a little more free flowing cape.
Yeah.
And even more implied too, because like, I mean, the dude's he's not wearing a red cape. He should be wearing a red cape. He's gonna stick out like a sore thumb. He's not Superman, so
yeah.
You're invincible. You wear red underwear and whatever and fly around. But I'd imagine a ninja would want to wear something a little darker.
Darker. Yeah.
But yeah, again, I mean, they're all cool hats. They're all going to look great. They're all, that's why they're in the shop. So
yeah, exactly. Not a bad bunch. I think the first three are definitely, I would put a little bit more solid. These ones are, there's nothing wrong with these ones particular, but yeah, good bunch. All right, so then we had the shock drop. I didn't check how well this sold. I'm assuming it sold out though, because anything Classic Kong goes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I can really say about it. It's just maybe the side embroidery is a little too big, but
yeah, I got this guy. I got this guy in hand. This
okay.
To me, it's the best one out of the three that they've released recently.
Okay. Is that what's the base color? The crown color?
Navy.
Okay,
navy blue.
I love navy and blues and
navy sky. Yeah,
colorway. The colors I love. I love the colors. Embroidery is obviously sick.
Yeah,
I love when you could get almost total dimension in the design.
Yeah, just look at how much.
Yeah,
there's like outline flat and then raised and then just different textures. This one's I think they saved the best for last in terms of.
Yeah, I know it's yeah, I mean, design wise, there's nothing else you could say. It's already been said. It's been released enough to you can't debate design. So it's really the colors is what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a sucker for. I do like blues and just the baby blues, light blues, Carolina blues. I love them. So
yeah,
the first high school I started working with, this was their colorway. So
word, okay,
yeah, I've done a lot of navy and to the point where they're like, "Can you do other stuff?" Because like every kid was so sick of having, Carolina blue shirt or a navy shirt or so.
Right.
Like,
it's a hard color to move off.
And that's why I started like doing like pink and stuff in there. And again, that was more thematic for like Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But like, you can do pink and still use navy and Carolina blue.
Yeah.
You just have to have that contrast. So, so you can start to do some crazy things with color, but you have to, I always told people like when I design for them, like we want to switch it up, make different stuff, but we're always going to utilize your branding and make sure it's consistent. So, you have to. And again, it's I love those colors. I just think the side is a little big, but I don't know. Again, to me, it doesn't affect comfort for me, and as long as it doesn't affect comfort, I don't really care. But the second something is uncomfortable because of size, it should have never been done. Then, but I think that's cool. So
to me, it's like unapologetically Clink, so I don't mind it. It'd be really cool if someone did like a graffiti design, and then on the side it was just like the little character with like a paint brush roller or like a spray paint. Like they tagged it. That'd be like a really cool one. So.
Yeah. They definitely. They made the choice to go that size for sure. I bet originally it was much smaller, and I'm sure they decided, no, let's go bigger with it because it's when you look at the expression of the Kong, like that's like kind of like making it big is like he's screaming Clink or whatever,
Yeah.
So no, that's cool.
All right. So now the main event. Let's see who made it. So
who's this guy?
Win Studio. Never heard of him. Back with the Avian Outlaw. What do you think?
They definitely need to refine it for sure. A lot of that detail is not going to work. Some of the shadowing. I mean, it's classic, like well, first of all, his thumb needs. If we're gonna nitpick it, his thumb needs to be up on the arrow hand,
right.
Up where he's shooting. Because an arrow, you got to have your thumb up to support it. So that's it's kind of weird. But I think before, I want to say is this a resubmit?
I don't remember it.
Before the arrow, or the string, or whatever you want to call it, was like weaving in and out of the fabric. It was like you're never going to shoot an arrow that way.
No. Yeah.
I think he did edit it, so that's a good. I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. So that's a good fix, and it works. But
I feel like the air. I mean, if we're gonna nitpick it, I think the bow's got to be a little bit more back. So like once you pull the
so
string,
I've shot before, and you need to be back further for sure.
yeah, because
And
that's a lot of pressure you got to.
so it's the pressure, but also balance. So like see the arrows in like the upper third, like
Yeah,
it needs to be more in the middle.
yeah,
Because you have to have like balance and that pressure that you're pulling back. Because
yeah.
otherwise, this is gonna like
That's not going anywhere because
I
you're
don't
gonna
know
let it
where.
go. Yeah, that's not
That's
gonna
doing
go.
like most people shooting a bow and arrow, which is not well.
Yeah,
And then I get what he's doing a signature thing with these motion streaks or whatever, but like
yeah,
there's no motion in this whatsoever.
no,
Like the motion is in the arrow, and what you're capturing is a still position. Like I love when the Olympics come on. I love watching the bow and arrow stuff.
really.
I don't know why. It's just so the amount of like just concentration it takes, and to hold that bow in position and
That's
really
straight.
like
Yeah,
it's just something fascinating. And it's the Olympics. You never see this shit. It's like you never see, like I don't know. It's like this sport called kabaddi in India that like it's like professional tag. I'm like, this is the most interesting I've ever seen, but no one in America talks about it. And I'm like, this is fun. And then I watch this stuff. I'm like, I don't know, it's fun to watch. So,
I
and you never
remember.
see.
I remember listening to a podcast. There's one called Hardcore History, and it broke down the Mongols and how strong you had to be. Number one, ride a horse, and then have the upper body strength to pull back like a 200-pound force arrow, and then shoot it while you were in the highest point you could be while bucking off a horse.
Yeah,
Just
it
like
was
the amount of strength and body control it would take to shoot to shoot an arrow.
Back then, all you had all day long, you had nothing but time to practice that.
Well, they all lived as nomads, right? So as soon as they moved into what's it called, more homes where they weren't nomads and moving around, they lost all that power.
Yeah.
So living on the steppe.
Well, once you're when you're sitting there checking your phone all day long, you're not building up any strength to ride a horse and shoot an arrow.
Yeah, you could Uber Eats your McDonald's and stuff, and not have to capture your food. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. We lost these natural skill sets a long time ago. I mean, it's cool. It looks, it's well done. Minor, imperfections. And again, I just don't the motion lines like.
Yeah, it's not
if
needed.
anything. The motion is actually, if you're pulling back, you'd want to create motion lines this way, or back. I don't know, in the shoulder a little differently. I don't know. It's just not doing it for me. Like, it's almost there. I also don't like really thin white outlines. Like,
yeah, they're not going to burn well.
Super tight. Like, it's going to close up on the black detail. Like, so there needs to be a lot of little adjustments made, but we already know they're going to do that. So, but yeah, it's a cool little, like, obviously it's a Robin Hood type look.
You make it more obviously a Robin, though.
Yeah.
Painfully more Robin. That's where I'm at. Like,
yeah.
You got to use more the Robin colors. I feel
love, Robin Hood, the men in tight tights is always fun. Memories.
Oh, great movie.
Yeah, so it's like that's always good. Yeah, it's almost there. I just don't think it's I would have definitely done a few more iterations of it.
Yeah, I'd beef up the head a little bit. Maybe change the arrow color. The yellow gets lost a little bit. The small stuff. The concept's solid though.
I think you could have put the hood back too. Like, he doesn't need to be wearing a hood. Like, it could be there but not wearing it, so you get more of the detail of the bird.
You can figure out what bird it is. Yeah.
So,
but he's there,
and it'll vote 40 something to get through. So, no concern there.
All right. Eye on the ball. Josh Wolves.
This is what Clink is.
Yeah.
This is fun. It's weird and creepy. Although now I just noticed one weird detail is the bone coming out of the leg, but also coming out of the other leg.
Yeah, it's his own leg.
be able to like,
It's too long.
yeah. So I would have actually almost just got rid of that little bone down there because it's just too long.
Yeah,
Like if he put that leg back on, his left
it would
leg.
be way longer than his other leg.
Yeah, but again, I don't. At the end of the day, I don't care as much about stuff like that because it's like it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. We're not. This is not realistic, like real life shit. Like we're all just having fun here, making some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So like, I don't care at the end of the day, but it's like that right away that stuck out. Otherwise, it's like fucking
You can
hilarious.
just change it by making it another leg. It doesn't have to be his leg he's swinging, right?
Yeah, you almost could have just done his arm too. Because I know, like, I feel like you see in zombie movies, they'll like be swinging their own arm around.
Mm-hmm.
Either one works. It's funny. And then obviously the eye. Although the way I hate to nitpick. The way the eye is,
Yeah, he's got to be coming the other way.
it's coming the other way. Yeah,
Because if it's going away, he's got to be
going away. Yeah,
swing.
he's not swung yet.
The swing's got to be over.
See, I hate nitpicking like that. But again, yeah, I would have just all you need to do is literally flip that, and that's fine.
Yeah. It might make the design look a little awkward, but yeah.
Yeah, and I get it. It's also his own eye. You know, you could almost. It's like he's like a coach.
He threw it to himself and then
he threw it up. Yeah. But again, I still would have just then faced it up a little. But again, I'm not gonna like take away from the overall like validity of how fun and cool it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great kind of just concept and the name and the playfulness of it.
Yeah.
So well drawn. It's well drawn. It's all, you know. That's cool. I like that.
Eye on the ball. All right, one last nitpick, and I swear it's over. But if we're nitpicking it, his eye is not on the ball. His eye's not looking at the eye. So
oh, you're right.
But I love it, Josh. It reminds me of his original design, Cabras.
I feel like maybe I don't know. I don't want to. I'm not gonna like. I'm not knocking anyone's process or anything, but like I felt like if you showed this to one person, these things probably could have been fixed,
right?
And it would have been like, you know, it's a matter of being 100 versus 95 now. It's still like that cool, but you're right. His eye is not on. Yeah, no, I hate that you said that now. I still would buy it. You know, I would buy it.
It's still a cool design. It's still fun. It's just like for the purposes of the experiment, we're trying to give constructive criticism. Yeah, Josh is a great artist. You know, we love his work, so it's not.
And again, this is stuff I'm talking about. Like I would make mistakes like this too, being like if I was the only one who looked at it from start to finish, it happens. You sometimes it just happens. You know, you kind of think it's right in your head or whatever, and you have a vision for it, and then you just don't realize little things like that, and it's, you know, and then two annoying people come and talk about it.
Yeah, like, what they know about? How dare they criticize me?
Again, though, I mean, hopefully, maybe they take that into mind and make some changes, you know, before it goes to production, and you're gonna have, you know, a home run. Not to.
Yeah, I think it's solid.
Intended.
I think it's fun. It's solid.
Yeah,
it's cool.
I like a good dark green hat too. I'm a fan of dark green.
This kind of gray and silver will really make it pop.
Yeah, it works with the design. Yeah, I like matching like he does here. I like matching. Like he could have easily used black. That's the easy way to do it, to get that contrast.
Yeah,
depth. But I like using my background color too to match my darkest color, and that's what he's kind of doing here. And I like that. I like it. Gives it just a different overall effect at the end. You still get the contrast you need, but it's just going to black right away. So it's too easy to do. And people don't think about that. They don't realize, like, oh, if I use a darker version of you know, to get my darks, my outlines, I'm still going to come away with something pretty cool. So, yeah, I like it.
All right, perfect. Moving forward, we got 3D Kong, Ryan Simmons.
It's
This
well
one,
done. The thing I dislike about 3D is that it makes me feel like I'm having eye issues.
yeah,
And I don't want to keep looking at this right now.
yeah, I'm
But
getting
that's
that.
also a testament to that he got the effect right. Because looking at 3D without the glasses, it hurts your eyes.
It hurts, yeah.
so yeah. So next one. No, I'm just kidding.
Uh,
No, I like it. It's well done. It's I can't look, and I wonder too. So I actually, a long time ago, we were doing prints to get screen prints to get the 3D effect, and we actually bought glasses to make sure we were like doing it so that our actual print worked, because
mm,
this is all color theory at the end of the day.
yeah,
So like technically, I don't know if with embroidery. I've never tried it with embroidery. He technically could get it right if the colors are correct and you put 3D glasses on. It may
sure.
appear 3D, like even more so than just the embroidery effect.
No,
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that much into it, other than I know we did it with print and it worked with a screen printed T-shirt.
I know we fought with this a lot at my company, Capologist, where Tony and I we did one where it was popcorn. We call it Poppin' Fresh, and we fought, not fought, but like we went back and forth with the idea of like, do we make it more practical or make it just look cool? And I think
Yeah.
we ended up on the look cool part. We still made the hats come with like cheap 3D glasses.
Okay.
But yeah, I think he is a little bit too practical here. Where yeah, it probably will work with 3D glasses, which is kind of awesome. But then we wonder about like if can they get the right thread color
Yeah.
on that, and what will it work?
And
But
again, yeah, that's the thing with thread color versus ink. If with this effect, it's all very much based on the colors.
yeah,
So people don't realize there's only so many thread colors versus Pantone, which is
any color you want in the world.
any color you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, it needs to be those very specific. So it's cool. It's well done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it actually would work just based on the colors it is now. But it might work a little. I don't know.
It'll work a little.
It would be
I almost would rather this be all black hat though too.
Yeah,
You don't need the
love
other
colorway for sure. I don't know if people are gonna like that.
Yeah, we'll see how it does in the voting. I think the
Yeah,
logo itself is real cool though.
yeah, for sure. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, moving forward. Canada A, so Sierra Gons and Gemini triplets. So this one was interesting because it this one sparks a greater debate. But let me get your initial thoughts, and then I'll explain what I mean by that.
Well, I know what you mean. I've seen them
Okay.
all.
All right.
I know the history of it a little bit.
Okay.
Not that anyone's I've just seen the iterations. So yeah. I mean, it's well done. You know what it is. That's Niagara Falls in the background, right?
Yeah, that little bit here.
Space or the needle, or what is it called? The needle.
Well, this is a CN Tower. Those two things are nowhere near each other.
Yeah, for some reason I kind of know that.
They have their own like kind of needle thing, but it's not the CN Tower.
I mean, but it's supposed to be just kind of Canada in a nutshell, right?
Yeah.
Which you can't do because Canada is so big. So like, I only know so much about Canada, but like,
yeah,
it's obviously big and it's very diverse in many ways.
Yeah.
I know there's like certain areas you go, like they do not speak English,
Yeah.
Like, and then there's other areas, and it's more like America, and then you've obviously got the vast amounts of nature up there that are. So yeah, I mean, it's a cool design for sure. I like the colors. But yeah, I don't know. Someone was debating about whether the fingers were right, which I think they are. But again, it's it's a what is it?
It's an anthropomorphic beaver. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not gonna have.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I think it'll. Yeah, but I get what you're saying. Like, what at the end of the day, it's like who started this and whose idea is it now? This whole layout and this. I know I know Florida Man was like the second version, right? And it was it Cali Love was the first?
Yeah, so Gemini and Aurelian got together to do Cali Love, and
Okay.
like Preacher
And
and
I
Aurelian.
know they brought that to them and got like approval.
Yeah, and then there was another one, the Hawaiian one. So it was now
Yeah.
Aurelian using
Oh, yeah.
Gemini's concept with someone else, and now this is Gemini bringing his concept to another artist. So it's like all,
Yeah.
it's all kind of crazy right now. So
It is tricky because again, at the end of the day, we sign these designs away, so it's like
you don't even own it. Yeah,
technically it was someone's first, but technically, you should go to the artist and then you probably have to go to Clink too and be like, hey, I've got this idea. Is it cool? I got approval from the original designer.
yeah.
You know, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. I think like you should involve the original person. I feel like maybe, but I would never jump in on something that's been done like this multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would just do my own version of it. I would try to do my own little thing. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a cool design. It's well done. It seems like Sierra is pretty much always a hit. So yeah, I like it. But yeah, that whole discussion is I don't know. That's a tough one because again, we all give up our rights to the designs, but someone came up with it originally. So, but they're all very different too. It's not it's the composition that's the same at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's the
Not
element.
like the actual character. It's all different.
Yeah, it's like they cookie cutter the concept
It's a
almost.
template essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're all good. They're all fun. They're all Uh, but that's a bigger discussion now. I don't know if Click's even concerned about that as much.
No,
But,
and this is just crit stage too, so we're not even at
yeah. Well, true. They're not.
the
It's
other
not
stages.
so,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know if I love the teal under. It doesn't really show up anywhere else in the hat.
It was the blue. If you're gonna try to call in the accent color,
Mm-mm.
but the teal, I don't know if isn't that needle? Isn't that like more gray in real life?
Yeah, it's a concrete
Yeah.
tower.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if skies are that color in Canada, but I probably would. Yeah, I probably would have switched that. Maybe just gone with a lighter blue.
I mean, it's just been gray for like the last fucking 4 months.
Gray
Probably
would work.
the same as you guys. But yeah, I like the concept. It's a cool concept.
Yeah.
Just philosophically, there's a thing, and I hope there's no bad blood. And I hope they kind of all work it out. And I don't think there is.
Yeah, I don't even know if there's a discussion
Yeah,
about it. To be honest, I haven't heard anything. So
yeah, but all right, Canada. Milos with the whirlpool. This was one of the things that I had to stop myself from before because like I would get really, I guess gatekeeperish with the spaceman guy because I just know Big Dave and he made the Moonwalker initially, and then anything that I saw with an astronaut I would get really weirded out about. But fuck it, man. Let everyone make astronauts.
yeah, I mean, I got an astronaut, so
Yeah.
The colorways are really the same as the that hang time. But yeah, I like the idea of like outer space whirlpool, like a black hole. It's like, although this guy's dead, whatever's happening to this guy, he's dead.
Yeah. This is a solid piece, though.
That's
Art wise, it's really good.
Clooney, right? George Clooney in that movie Space. He's goner. But no, yeah, art it's done really well. Hands are the focal points, so the hands are well done, which is always key.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you notice that it's so hard to do sometimes.
That's one thing AI has never mastered.
They love to throw in a few extra figures.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's all done. I like the colors. Space is always interesting when it comes to color. So, because there's so much, no color, and then you have these like photographs you see of like, I can't even begin to understand what it is, but so much color and intricate details. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, I think people will like this one.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, cool.
You did a great job. I don't really have any bad thing to say about it other than it's good.
Yeah, yeah,
Nailed
for
it.
sure.
English. Subject matter is a little bit, kind of done a little often. Other than that, we're good. Great
Everyone loves
design.
space. We have a weird fascination with space. So
Yeah. Nothing should be off limits, man. Fuck it. Keep
yeah.
bringing them. So,
Oh, hey,
there you go.
this design sucks. Yeah, I don't know. This was I was probably depressed that day or whatever, and I drew this.
Happy face.
Yeah, I don't know. I just you see all these. The thing is, I'm not big on emojis.
Yeah.
Always throwing emojis out. I'm like, do you really feel that way? Like, are you really laughing out loud? Are you really rolling on the floor laughing? You know,
Yeah.
I've always loved. I don't use that much. I laugh. If I laugh, I laugh, and I don't tell someone I laughed. But and then people now with emojis are like, it's crazy all the amount of emojis we have, and I don't know. It was. I probably could execute this one a little better. I don't know. It's some things I probably do different looking at it now. But I just again, I was just feeling a certain way, and I just drew this. So that's what I do when I draw a lot. I draw through my shit a lot. So
Yeah.
it's yeah. Lately, to be honest, man, like just in my life and personal, on the personal side, it's like I just been figuring a lot of shit out, and it's like all of us have our shit, and I realize like not a lot of people hit on that stuff with
Mm-hmm.
their designs. And it's okay. It's okay to design stuff that's a little depressing.
Yeah. It's just like an outlet for you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, we all fucking feel this way sometimes. We all feel like shit, and we try to put on a happy face and go to work and, go to a family event or whatever. And man, you know what? It sucks, and it's tiresome sometimes. And again, it's life. But to shy away from it, I think is, I don't think that's the world we live in anymore. So, I brought up, with the throw dirt on it and get back in the game. It's how I was coached as a kid, and I don't have anything bad to say about that because it taught me a lot to become a grown up and and to deal with my shit. But like at the same time, there's some mixed messaging about how we deal with our emotions, and again, but at the end of the day, it's just a fucking hat, and it's
Yeah.
But I still like everything I do. I want something to be in it. I don't want it to just be funny or
Like fake goofy.
yeah, I want people to be like, look, it's okay to feel like shit,
Mm-hmm.
and again, yeah, happiness fades. It's a fact of life. We
Mm-hmm.
all pay taxes and we all die. As they say, so it's like it's just a reality of the world. So that's some of the shit I've been kind of doing. It's like I'm not gonna shy away from that. I'm not afraid to discuss like any bullshit I deal with personally or like.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid as a man anymore to be like, yeah, I have some fucking shitty days and I feel like shit. And it sucks and it's tiring. It's very tiring. It's again, the melting is like it wears on you at the end of the day, it drains you. And it sucks, but you know what? We wake up the next day, pick ourselves up and we
Gotta do it again.
do it again. So
Yeah.
but yeah, again, at the end of the day, it's just a hat and hopefully some people may just like it. It's a cool design they may like. Or or it speaks to them in that way. I'm cool with either one, but that's kind of where I was at.
Yeah.
With that, so
I almost wish the composition was one side is just perfectly good, and then the melting side was on one side, but that you could see it melting through the skull. Maybe like you do like a map or whatever, and then you make one side like perfect. I think
I would. Looking back on it, I probably would have drawn the skull side a little smoother.
Yeah.
But
and then the outline, you lose the outline at the bottom. The white stroke doesn't touch.
Yeah,
A
purposely
tonal.
yeah,
You did that on
I've
purpose?
purposely been doing that.
Okay.
Not that I'm trying to create a signature or anything. I just like
Yeah, I saw you did it on the woodchuck one, the life.
you pretty much can actually, if you look back at all of mine, you can almost see it in every one of them now.
Okay.
Because I like the idea of like, if I want a shadow there, that shadow will never have a white outline around it, but it'll have some contrast and some color or some reflection, of something. So, but if I just did an outline around it, to me, it would just be a weird oval sitting underneath it. So, knowing what I know about embroidery is that we can kind of trim that in and cut that out and still have the black embroidery in there to fill it.
Yeah.
And it's gonna embroider well, and it's gonna kind of give the message of a shadow. But I probably would have put a little more pooling down there for sure. This one was more hand drawn than I did. I didn't really do much vector on it. It was more hand drawn.
Mm-hmm.
So the final file will probably be a little cleaner, anyways.
Yeah.
Because I still actually need to produce it. I didn't think it would get picked up right away, but I need to produce the final file actually. So
I do like the concept behind it though, like the put on a happy face and everyone's a little bit dead inside.
Yeah, the whole concept was not to be pretty,
yeah.
So I didn't want. It is meant to be very jagged and melty, yeah, I didn't really wasn't going for smooth as much, but yeah, I definitely I almost was going to take another pass at this because I didn't think it would get picked up. But yeah, in general, I like it. I wouldn't have done it if I didn't like it. So, but I mean, I like to. To me, I was just working some shit out. That's what it was at the end of the day.
No, that's cool. It's cool you're honest about it and stuff. But I think, yeah. Since you're here, that's my live feedback. I think it's a really cool concept.
Yeah,
just made it more fucked up on the skull side and just make it perfect. Not perfect, but you know what I mean. Like
yeah.
You could just really tell from really far away that that's a happy face, and the other side it's like just melting. And,
yeah.
Whatever. Then maybe even like on that side, like instead of it being happy, the melty part is sad. Like just different.
Yeah.
Sections of it, but yeah, this is the makings of a really cool concept. I like it.
Yeah, I think there's probably more I could do with it too when I kind of did it. Probably some more I could do with the emojis, but I don't want to jump into that realm too much of emojis because even there you can be like conceptually that's already out there. Just the emoji itself. I'm not an emoji person, so it's like.
Yeah, when younger people speak to me on text with too much emojis, I get weirded out. I'm like, yo, can you stop with this?
I mean, fuck, dude, it got to the point where my parents were doing that stuff, and I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
Like, I don't do it. And my people, my generation built all this shit. Like, I don't do it. Why are you doing it? Because my nieces and nephews are teaching them it.
Yeah. Well, they're that's their short form. That's their abbreviations.
Yeah. Again, I like going with that connection to technology because it's like technology's fucking draining too. So
yeah,
you just gotta unplug and just go sit in the woods for a day sometimes.
And just live. Yeah. And just
dude, like being up in Canada, you have it more than us here. We got to travel a little bit to find something like super like where you look at and you're like, oh shit. I feel like in Canada you probably have that more left and right.
Depending on where you are, but yeah, I'm in Toronto, so I'm rarely in the city. So you got to travel a bit, to get stuff. But
I just say you guys have better nature, I would say. Yeah. But yeah, that's it. That's
well, good one here.
Go
definitely. Go vote on it.
Make sure it's 20%. So I can get it through.
Yeah, despite us ripping it a little bit, I think it's a cool concept. So
yeah, I people like it.
The Queen Cobra. So this is like an amalgamation of a bunch of stuff, right? So Medusa. It's got a little bit of GI Joe in it.
Yeah, for sure. It's cool. I don't know if I like the hat colors itself. Design wise, I think the colors are perfect for the design.
Yeah.
Because you could have done blues with this, you could have done greens, you could have really gone anyway. I guess. I mean, snakes are kind of pretty colorful in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of diversity in their color, but I mean, it's obviously well drawn, well executed.
I don't know if it needs the other snake though.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely not use it. I mean, it doesn't need it.
Yeah.
And if anything, if you want to have it to create depth, you should have wrapped the front of the snake ahead of the shield kind of shape. Like, it should have been wrapping
Around it. Yeah.
like the front. If the front was in front of the design, this bottom half was in front of the design, you're not taking away from the face or anything, but what you're creating now is depth, and like it would have been a little like additive to like why that other snake is there.
It just doesn't make much. It's
Because
not
right
adding
now,
to it. And now it's like behind it, and it's just creating weird dimension issues now.
yeah,
Because the only way you would see that if she's lying back now, and why would she be lying back on her back like that? It makes no sense. But
yeah,
art wise, is cool. I would have maybe buffed up the snake's fangs a little bit. Her jaws a little bit.
Well, those they got to do something there. Those are going to get lost.
Yeah,
I
I think it's real solid.
Even the teeth in the mouth are pretty small.
Yeah, she doesn't need fangs. You're not gonna be able to embroider them properly anyway.
No.
Scale.
People don't realize you can't embroider points.
Yeah,
Perfect points. Like when you look at the American flag as an emblem, those are not points. Those are squared off.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's again, people are not. They're never going to understand it the way until you actually
Have to do it. Yeah,
or do it. Yeah, it's a very just they just don't teach it in school or like they don't teach apparel design in school. They teach print design. Like that's why when you get a kid with a degree in your shop, he's got a degree. It doesn't mean shit to me because like he doesn't know how to set up a screen print press.
Yeah.
A screen print press is not the same as a paper press.
Right.
It's totally different. So, and they don't teach that shit, which blows your mind because it's, there's billions of dollars in that industry. So you should teach them that. But the cool thing now is more high schools actually have screen printing equipment and they have screen printing classes. So
that's awesome.
Pretty cool. So, yeah. And they'll do every year, they'll like bring it to the new school in the district. That's pretty cool. So, but, and again, you're just not, it's stuff you learn over time. And like when people say like either you need to thicken things up or you need bolder line, like it's just true. It is what it is. There's no like combating it. China does use a slightly thinner thread than America does, and that's why they get better detail on their embroidery. But there's still a limit to what you can do. So there's definitely some things in here you can do to take away, which will eventually add more to it, which sounds like it doesn't make sense, but it does. At the end of the day, less is more, as they say.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's a killer
concept.
Yeah, it's well done. Probably would look better as a print for sure, as is. But I think if they tweak a few things, it'll be a real nice embroidery. And you can do some cool depth with the snake heads being raised versus the face being flat. You can get some cool dimension there.
Yeah, so. Yeah. He's already got some cool shadowing and stuff.
Yeah.
I think, for sure.
I think if you put that on a black hat, it's going to get 8% more vote, though.
Yeah.
I think the visor is going to be a little too bright for people.
Yeah, the lime.
Yeah.
I mean, potentially you could turn this into a mono, so all green, all dark green, and then just that lime green under.
Yeah,
that's what a snake's body kind of looks like anyway. It's like one color, and then the underbelly.
That's just when I think about colors, I try to think of stuff like that.
Yeah,
like I have like that reincarnation one. I used a tan under because I wanted to kind of represent dirt.
The dirt. Yeah.
So like I do try to think stuff like that through. That's why sometimes when people give me feedback on color, I'm like, I thought of it. Don't worry, yeah. I thought of it. Like this is what I wanted. It's cool.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, again, at the end of the day, it's like whatever they present as a designer, that was their vision. So I always appreciate that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But again, once that contract is signed,
It's over
right
yeah.
away. So, and that's why I don't get mad when stuff changes when I put it up. And
no, you know what it is. You know what it is.
It is what it is. So,
all right,
that's cool. Yeah.
What do we got here? The armadillo. We're done.
It's
armored armadillo. You got a mace, spear.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like the idea. I think the execution is just lacking. That's all. It's just a little. I mean, I hate to use the word childish because it's not. That it's just the too many thin lines. Too many. There's a lot. There's a lot you need to take away, and people need to use shadow more, realizing that shadow does create shape, and it gives you your most deep shapes actually. And so, like a lot of this stuff far back in the tail and stuff, like you just need to use a darker color and just a thin little line to show depth and texture,
or even some of the legs. Just make them a silhouette.
A lot of if you really look at, I used to say this in football, like when I played football, like you got to go watch the professionals play because they know what they're doing and they know best. So like when it comes to design, like when I start teaching someone design, I always tell them like, go take a design from one of the best designers out there that you really like and just recreate it in Illustrator. And just you start to learn and see what the choices they were making and why they made them. And so like when you see a good mascot design, they never have four legs that are like totally defined. You're going to define the most structural part of it and like get that little highlight out of it that you can. But to me, when people like complain about a back leg having no color whatsoever of a shape,
that's usually a design choice.
That's reality. That's life. That's how shadows work. So again, less is more concept. I had an art teacher in high school, which that's all she said, and I hated it. I was like, what do you mean? And then I finally realized what she meant, and like it is true. Like the more you take away, and the less you have, the more your brain, like the brain itself, is going to start to understand what it is and what's supposed to be there, versus what's not, because it's a shadow, and we understand what it means to comprehend shadow. So,
like let the brain figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. That's people. That's a thing. People they don't really think about sometimes about how vision works and how we comprehend color and how colors mix to create other things and more colors. So again, like the line work and the shield back there is all too thin. Thicken that up, and but even then, that solid shape behind there really takes away from like where is that armadillo standing?
Why does he need a spear so long?
Oh yeah,
holding it there. I think the spear's got to go. I think the crest is kind of cool, but
you can get rid of it. That doesn't add anything. If anything, it balances out the design. Is all it does visually.
Almost looks like he's a rat.
You want to put more emphasis on the tail and maybe try to bring that to the forefront more. I don't know, but yeah, and any kind of like fun animal type thing like this, I like to do. Like I think you need to make it more human-like. Like you need to do that. Like you almost could have done like this. So the Celtics logo, for example, is like it is a human, but he's wearing it's a cartoon, but he's wearing armor and standing up. Like you could have almost taken that kind of similar stance. Or one of the fighting, animals, kind of taking that stance, but put him in armor,
Yeah. It almost looks like he's like a rat.
The same way.
It almost looks like he's like a rat wearing armors,
Yeah, well, yeah, you're covering his. Yeah, I mean, the part that makes the most armadillo is the middle of the body.
The shell, yeah.
It's a cool idea. I like the idea. I think just rework it a little and it would be killer.
Yeah. I like how he drew the plate armor. It's like folded right. It's correct.
Yeah. No, it's all there. but again, just take some away to really add depth. And again, that shield behind it just flattens it out. So
Yeah.
But I think they were trying to make it fill the space more. I think that's just kind of what the choice was.
Almost a
Otherwise, you have a very long armadillo across a hat, very short and long.
They're such an ugly animal too in real life with the
It
little
is, yeah.
draggy hairs and stuff. It would be really interesting to see if he could change the perspective and just have it head on and just play with the shadowing and stuff like that. That'd be like a really cool.
That's a good point. So one thing I noticed a lot with maybe like I don't know if someone's a newer designer or not, but like one thing I really started to pay attention to was perspective.
Mm.
You can really tell us more seasoned designer versus some others where they either do straight on or they do side view.
Yeah.
Like the second you turn that thing like three quarters, you try to mess with the peripheral and like getting a vertical or kind of an underneath or a bird's eye, like it really changes the dynamic of the design. So messing around with stuff like that would, I think, with a longer, kind of one example is that snake design, the one that like goes back into the hat,
Yeah.
It kind of like it's popping out of the sand. Like that does a good job of weaving in and out and using the depth to create this normally very long, skinny, and it gives it a more vertical structure. So
yeah, that's awesome.
It's definitely got some potential. I like it, the concept, but just play with it more.
Definitely. All right, moving forward. War Pigs.
Yeah, see, there's
Dizzle's back.
Dick. Yeah, I mean, this one's fun, and it's, there's not much to say about it. The drawing, it's done well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
it. I mean,
I love a good sidecar.
Yeah. War Pigs.
I don't know. It's
fun.
Well done.
It's got speed lines utilized properly.
I don't know.
Use of smoke.
I don't know if they were given the okay to use speed lines.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, it looks good. I like it. This is an example of where I talked about shadow. Like I just don't like how that outline cuts into shadow. Like I that's where I end my lines so that it creates like true shadow.
Yeah.
Again, that's a me thing. It doesn't ruin the design or anything. I think I like a uninterrupted shadow.
Yeah, I see it there. Would you rather him have that kind of? You see how the back wheel has smoke? Would you put some of the smoke in the front wheel and then that you can kind of work?
No, because I think I mean it's a rear wheel drive, probably, right? So like, you're not going to generate smoke from the front.
Okay,
you can't spin your front tire, like on a motorcycle.
Fair enough.
So you couldn't technically you couldn't generate smoke. Yeah, I mean, I think the smoke I think it's fine the way it is because you also don't want
too much smoke
take away from the pigs,
Yeah.
But again, this is an example there of perspective where they took a real, you could have drawn it head on or you could have drawn it from the side, but they have a nice little 3/4 perspective here, and it really adds to the design. And that smoke, creates a little depth, create some depth back there. I would have, again, nitpicking, I would have made sure the shadow cut off earlier so that you create even more depth.
Yeah.
Because like this is supposed to be trailing off.
Yeah, it makes the bike look like it's so big, but it's not really.
But again, it was more of a balance thing. So it's like, you don't want to. What's tricky with embroidery, if your design is not perfectly weighted, like and your center point is off, you notice it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to compensate. You have to compensate your design somewhere. And this is where that's where the smoke kind of balances it back out. Because technically, what you have to do in this situation is you have to shift your center point. So visually, it's weighted fine, but technically, it's off center.
Yeah, because of the smoke.
Again, yeah, you have to do that because if the smoke was shorter and then it was pushed to center, it would now look wrong the other way. It's like it's this little battle you have to fight. So it's done, I think it's done right because you want the pigs to appear centered. That's what you want to appear centered. And that's what it does. So but yeah, no, it's good. I think it's good. I hope people like there needs to be a good pig design through some point. So that or turtles, which I've been pushing.
Nice.
Started to think Casey wasn't given Ninja Turtles as a kid. He hates turtles.
He likes turtles. He's always in the water. So
I got 2 turtle designs out there waiting to go through. So
there you go. One little thing is I'll probably change the under. I wouldn't make it the same color as the crown. Probably opt for a gray, maybe, or like maybe like a darker green.
Yeah,
but that's nitpicking. I think it's solid. I like this.
Yeah, I like it. It's good. I think people will like it. So
yeah. All right. Number 10, Aurelian and Sawed Off with ducks in a row.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
Yeah, we got the signature Volt green under. Yeah. Not many people are doing it anymore. But Clink, I love a good Volt green under. I know some people don't.
I'm not afraid of it. I mean, I feel like, I don't know, maybe people are so maybe sick of it because of Seattle. I don't know. Maybe Seattle Seahawks overplayed it too much.
And the Hawks used it in a really bad way. The Atlanta Hawks used Volt green in a really bad way.
Yeah, well, Oregon used a lot of it too. So Mikey, obviously, there definitely was a good few years where everyone wanted Volt green somewhere, an accent piece or whatever. But I don't think you have to shy away from stuff. But if people don't like it, they don't like it. So it's you do have to read the market too.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone keeps telling me every time I've used it or tried to use it, they stay away from it. It doesn't sell. So I'm like, oh.
I like Volt.
I don't mind it. So, and I think you have to look at the design itself. Does it add something to the design? And it does, because aliens are using laser beams and shit or whatever. So we think, well, you're not going to use red necessarily.
No.
There's not a red that gives off that you want that bright ass color. So I don't know if this has a glow in the dark effect to it. Do you know? Does it?
I don't think so. It doesn't. There's not enough white in it.
So I wasn't sure if they did anything, but it's not. I'm not afraid of it, and I think it does the design justice. So, and it's fun, and the name is perfect. I think there's a little lack of contrast with the actual other ducks, to where I think people at first were wait, where are the ducks in a row? And then you see it, and you're like, oh. So I do like that stuff where it's you hide something in there, or it doesn't hit right away, and then when you see it, and if you don't see it, you're not a part of the club. So whatever. But that's the thing. There's stuff I'll hide designs as much as I can. And if you see it, awesome. If you don't, I don't care. It doesn't
good, Easter egg, yeah.
But the name, you're you have to be well, why is it called that? And then you see it, okay, yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna nitpick, I would kind of wish that I gotta do all of them, but at least the second duck's got to be crazy.
I would put a little more detail into that, maybe.
Other than that,
you're talking about that's probably only 3/8 of an inch, that second duck. It's not, it's not big.
You're not gonna get a lot out of it.
Yeah. I would maybe put just a little black outline in there, kind of how it is in the wings in the duck in the front. But again, it's not totally needed. But
no. I'm just saying.
But here's another example of that perspective really adds to the design. It's you're another one of the ducks looking up, being oh fuck, I'm getting away.
Next.
So it's cool. I like it.
This is a pretty solid one.
Yeah,
Aurelian always
pretty good week. It seems like
he always puts through good stuff, man. And I'm working on securing a French translator so we can get him on the show.
Oh, nice.
So I can't wait for that. But yeah, man, we we might run into some people getting really angry with us for time issues. But whatever. There's no football to
I
watch.
don't know. You cut
What
out
else
something
are you
you
doing
want.
on your Sunday? Yeah. So we spent a couple
Hopefully they
hours
learn
hanging
stuff.
out.
I mean,
Hmm?
I feel like I have a lot of good advice to give on embroidery. So
Yeah.
hopefully they learn something.
No, I had a blast, man. Like the whole point of this show wasn't just for like, hey, let's do a Monday crit show. This was, stick a microphone in front of all these creative people's face. Maybe we learn something. Maybe this will spawn something a little bit different where we can do like more one-off shows or just talk and kind of talk shop and
Yeah.
whatever. Because I think that will really strengthen the community. Like this show doesn't get a lot of views when it's not meant to be like a everyone watch the show, but this is kind of meant to better strengthen the design community and kind of have a space for the creatives to kind of flock and share ideas and get better and sharpen their skills and stuff like that. And that's what really this has kind of become, which has been awesome.
Yeah. No, I like it. I mean, I appreciate having me, and then really just the community in general. It's been pretty cool, and I like this past week. There's been a lot of people I've never talked to that we're now talking, and so so it's been pretty cool, and so I look forward to doing more. Hopefully,
yeah, awesome. Well, it's been great kind of getting to know you. Do you have any last words before we kind of sign off? Where can people find your work?
Oh yeah, I mean I got the cliftondesign.co. And I post stuff there, but Instagram I only post hats, so hats or dog photos. So there I post. I usually update my website pretty regularly, but
cool.
I'm just a lot of this next year. I'm going to be designing a lot of NFL shit the way it looks right now. So
that's cool.
Hopefully, see my stuff on the sidelines, but I'm working on with a company that I kind of partnered with that they're focusing on individual athlete branding. So
that's awesome.
Try to develop a lot of like clothing lines and stuff. So
that stuff can move real fast. We saw that with Taylor Swift wearing that lady's jacket, and all of a sudden she's got a Nike deal and all that stuff. So
her husband is also a very well-known football player. So
yeah, it does help.
Yeah, but it was nice to see. It's nice to see how something organic can like
break through so fast.
Yeah, really. And I mean, that lady's been doing that stuff for a long time, and it just took that one instant of lightning in a bottle where it was like
hyper speed. Yeah.
So it's cool, and that's how this industry is. So
yeah.
So hopefully some stuff like that happens here or happens to anyone who's designing here. So
what's awesome is the NFL is actually just starting to kind of embrace it with the custom cleats and stuff like that. Before it was never nothing, and now it's like cool to see them embrace it at least a little bit.
I had a couple cousins that played in the NFL one was 10 years, one was 11, and it was like the stories they tell me, it's just like, man, what an anti-business they are. Like,
use the wrong color tape or something. Yeah. Wear those color shoelaces.
The thing is, blows my mind. Like any week you get fined, and then the next week, because it's a charity thing, they don't fine you. It's like, make up your mind. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I don't call it the No Fun League for no reason. But
exactly.
But yeah, cool, man. Really appreciate your time. You're very, very gracious with it, and we got to hang out more, man. This is a cool thing getting to know you.
Awesome. So, I appreciate it.
We're Ric and Leon. We out of here.
All right, see you.
Voices in my head, telling my circuits to leave you dead. Yellow, blue, green lights turning red. It's probably just a robot in my flesh, and I'm
brought to you by VFTV.